Mathwiz.
Hey, Craftsdwarf.
You know how back when Naruto and Bleach were going and we'd bitch about something and then we'd read the next chapters and it would be like, oh, it's fine now.
Yep, I remember that.
Did you think that was going to go away with One Piece just because I'd read it all before? Like 3 or 4 times? This is like my fourth time going through some of the material?
Yeah, I will say, Craftsdwarf, I'm disappointed. As the person who claims to know everything about One Piece,
No.
I figured you'd have this all down.
No. We'll talk about the power levels later, because I have some things to say about them I have realized reading the whole thing. Anyway, hello and welcome to the Nen Show Podcast. I am your host, Craftsdwarf, and this is Mathwiz. Before we address comments, I want to start off by saying, the editing for the last episode was fucking horrible, because I'm an idiot, and I didn't save my audio. So when Audacity crashed, I had to rebuild my audio from the cache, like it where it was divided in 6-second chunks, and then re-edit the whole episode. So if there was some desync or anything, and I know there was because I listened to a few clips of it. Like I tried to do my best, but there were a few people who were like saying like, "Hey, you're talking over each other," or that was all my fault. And that's also why the episode was later than usual, which makes it extra funny that I started the last episode saying right on time, because it was not on time in the least.
But it's okay, we're making up for it because we have the show a week early today.
Yes. So, you want to start with comments?
Yes. First comment I've got comes from... it was a couple people just talking about the I guess wordplay, the pun with oimo.
Oh, yes.
Because speaking in the third person, it's just something that doesn't translate well to English because it's a pun on
his
me
name, but
too.
They can't change his name because that's the thing with names and translations. Because Manga Stream does it. There's a character who comes up later who they call him Dogtooth because it's like a type of flower. But it just kind of now there's 2 names for this character and no one cares about that name because people just usually default to names are weird, especially with Japanese, which has so many meanings to it. It's you can't translate a name that has all of its meanings, so it's you might as well just keep it the same and leave all the meanings in their translation notes. But of course Viz doesn't do translation notes because they're dumb and lame. And then, seriously, it would really help especially for fucking Naruto. That fucking shit was a clusterfuck. Holy god. Bleach is actually, pretty good, honestly speaking. But anyway, yeah. I didn't know that, actually, for some reason. Anyway, the only one I had to respond to comes from Cross_, who had a good observation on Franky and Iceberg and sort of what they respectively took from Tom. It was just a neat observation. That was the only one I had to respond to.
And I had a couple more here. One of them was by, I'm probably going to butcher his name, Dilraj Gruel, talking about the themes behind Aqua Laguna, because we kind of jumped over that.
Well, it's also you say what you wanted to say about that comment, because that one made me, okay, go on.
Well, I did kind of like the the end of the arc doesn't really, I don't know if it works as well with this.
He sets up this, he brings up this idea, and because here's the thing about themes, is, you can't expect a writer to, understand everything, because themes are, on a degree, interpretive. You can make a claim as to what the theme is, and back it up with evidence from the text, but, so, he's getting mad at us for not noticing a theme that he did. But, at the same time, he's, I found his point, it was a neat observation, but, what does Luffy and Zoro defeating the Aqua Laguna mean? Does it mean the Aqua Laguna doesn't matter? He's not backing it up with enough, it's not, I don't know, he didn't bring a good enough argument. He's, getting mad at us for not noticing, but he's not doing all the work himself. So I'm hey, come on, you could do better.
I don't know, I did think it was cool how the building on top of the previous city was, a metaphor for, the members of the Straw Hats. But then at the same time, at the end of the arc, they kind of... Well, I guess they try to make the island float, which is different. So
so it's like if it's a it's a potentially interesting point, but he needs to like connect it to a lot of more, the rest of Aqua Laguna, not just this one idea of what it is. He needs to correct it to how it was handled in the story, and then maybe he'll have something good. And like, go for it, dude. You have the idea. Don't get mad at us for not talking about the specific thing you want to talk about, because you're probably way more interested in it than we are. Like, that's the thing. Like. Because when some other people are like, hey, this idea, and I'm like, oh, cool, neat. Like, I've been thinking about that. Like, I don't think about Hunter x Hunter often, but like, and that's the thing, is like, because other people are there to think about it for me. I don't need, like, I'm not particularly invested in it. Like, I don't need to sit there and like mull over Hunter x Hunter, but like with One Piece, no one else is there. I'm the only one. So of course I need to, because I like One Piece more, and the discussion around it isn't happening in the way I like. So it's I'll let other people think about the shit they want to. And, well, in this case, that's a specific idea within One Piece. Like, I had other shit that I was thinking about this stretch of chapters and last two stretches, and, I got fun stuff to say. Anyway, keep going, if you have any more.
There was another comment by, well, I guess first of all, I'll get to this one, which is something I completely missed. Like, this happened a few episodes ago, and we didn't really call attention to it. But Lego Drakey pointing out that we had our 1-year anniversary of the Nen Show a couple of episodes ago, and just never addressed it.
Yeah, that's true. And someone responded to, or maybe there was another comment, but they were like, they discussed, or the podcast where they discussed 2 series a year, and I'm like, excuse me, we started this year with Naruto, we finished Bleach, this is our 3rd series this year, thank you very much, in 2018. I mean, we did discuss all of Naruto this year, obviously, but no, it's fine.
And one more comment by Chip Hand Z, which was, I guess, a reference to a video that I didn't get to watch because I didn't have time. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. I think I saw the link, but I didn't watch it either.
Well, there's a quote from that video in this comment, just talking about the way that, like, Kokoro sort of ties in, like, she's got her own story that is really just, like, a footnote in...
Yeah. I didn't watch the video either, unfortunately, so...
But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that, like, even in, like, the, she's got this big, well, I don't know if I'd call it a big story, but she has a pretty interesting, like, when you really think about, well, I don't know, just read the comment in the last episode. It's good, and, Oda pays attention to the details in it, and it's interesting. Maybe she should have had more attention. I don't know how she could have really fit into the arc, but it's just cool that, like, she's got stuff going on, too. Like, Oda is not just completely ignoring this character.
Yeah, and I was going to point out, because I think that comment mentioned her relationship with Tom. Like, it specifies in the SBS that Kokoro had because Chimney's her granddaughter. Like, she was married to another dude from Water 7, a human. So they're not literally, like they're friends, basically, but they're also the respective mother and father figures to Franky and Iceberg. So even though Kokoro has her own family, her own blood family, or at least, we never see them except for Chimney, she's still like, she's like a mother to Franky, and Tom's like a father to Franky and Iceberg. So it's like, yeah. So just want to, because I think the comment word, like, or it was a quote from the video, I think, but it worded it in a way that made it sound like they're literally like husband and wife, which is not true. But so I just wanted to point that out. Did you have any more comments?
I mean, there were other interesting observations, but Greenbird also had a comment about Spandam, and that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, just.
But I guess we'll talk a little more about Spandam in the podcast itself.
Yes, we will. We're not done with Spandam. Oh God. Anyway, was that your last one?
Yes.
All right, so before we get into the discussion proper, I want to start off with the Brogueworks cover story, because it did end this stretch of chapters, and the next one started with Eneru. So yeah, I guess to summarize the Brogueworks cover story is there were a bunch of shenanigans with the five pair, the Golden Week 3 and 2, and it sort of ended up with they ended up breaking out the rest of Brogueworks except for Crocodile and Mr. One, who refused to, who they just didn't want to escape. So those two and Mr. 2 and 3, who were captured during all this ruckus, they were sent to Impeldown, which I believe it was mentioned last stretch of chapters, where it's the greatest, the underwater prison, the government's prison. And then there's everyone else, basically they went back to Alabasta, to the cafe, to Well, because like there was a whole sequence with Golden Week making them look like their dreams, basically, like what they want to accomplish. And I think that's noteworthy because Crocodile, he wants to be Pirate King, like, still, so... but you know Oda. He likes bringing characters from the cover stories back, as we find out later. So you know we might see Crocodile again. So, did you have any thoughts on the broker? Because you were pretty into it last time. So
yeah, it's funny how like I guess I had completely forgotten that Mr. 2 was Mr. 2, and I was like, oh, I got him confused with Mr. 3, and you know that whole debacle when they did the switcheroo because of the gimmick.
Yes, because he's changing gimmick, and then he had the 3 on his. Yes, because he was pretending to be Mr. 3. That's right. I forgot about that, or I think.
So yeah, I screwed that up a little bit. But yeah, it was probably was it my favorite cover story so far? Maybe. There was a lot going on.
I mean,
yeah,
the Django one was also good, but those. The Wapol one was fine. I think those are probably my favorites so far. Those 3. This one and the Brokers one. The Eneru one is also kind of interesting for a couple of reasons, but we'll talk about that when in next stretch chapters when it ends, I think. Going into discussion, so Rocket Man smashes into Enies Lobby. Kokoro connects Luffy and Roger together through Tom and Franky. Oh, and we sort of get set up to the scenario with Fukuro explaining the keys, which I thought was neat because it sort of gives them more, like, it's like... Because back in Alabasta, the fights happened and then there was the bomb, and this is kind of mixing together, like, the scenario and then the fighting, sort of. So I thought that was neat. And honestly, like, one of my favorite parts about this arc, like, because it goes into, like, because everyone gets divided up, but they don't get, it's like, because obviously there's going to be, like, the one-on-one fights and stuff, but I like how organically it unfolds, because, like, a lot of the fights aren't set up right away, but they go into the one-on-one fights later after everyone sort of just does their thing. Like, Kali finds up with Sanji first, and that happens, and then Nami's fighting her. And then, Kumadori ends up with Nami first, but Chopper's the one who fights him. So it's not like 1-to-1. And, Zoro even ends up with Kaku first, but that doesn't that fight doesn't happen for a little while. So it's just like, because, it'll happen in a lot of shonen stuff is like the fights will divide up somehow. And I'm struggling to think of one where, like, as organic as this, where it's just a straight-up one-on-one fights. Like, you do have stuff like the Palace Invasion and Hunter x Hunter, but that didn't really divide up into one-on-one fights. That was just, like, a whole bunch of chaos, which was fine for what it was, but this is just a way to get, what you expect from the shonen in a more organic way, and it was kind of cool. I've always liked that about
Yeah, I liked
arc.
how the fights would sort of play off of one another.
Yeah.
They played off each other in the very beginning. Like,
yes.
The ceiling crashes in and Zoro ends up with Usopp.
Right.
It was a lot of cool shenanigans.
Yes, it's cool. Oh yeah, and also, we learned a bit more about it later, but Spandam is weak himself, but he does have an elephant sword. That is, it's like Mr. Four's dog, and it's an object that ate a devil fruit, in this case an elephant. So honestly, Funkfried's like, I just really like it like the sword design is really cool with the tusks and the trunk being a sword. I don't know, I just like Funkfried for some reason. Even though he's just this animal who just gets used as a club by Franky later. Poor thing.
Yeah, that did make that was sort of interesting, which Greenbird kind of discussed in their comment about Spandam, but how, like, he has nothing, he has no ability, so he has to have this, like, super OP sword or whatever.
Well, it's like a sword that can act on its own, like, because he does the one attack where he like stabs Funkfried forward and it grows on its own, so he's like relying on Funkfried's power rather than his own. So, but he still owns it completely because it's a pet and it's a sword. So yeah. They hear the scenario, everyone, Spandam's heading to the Gates of Justice with Robin, and everyone divides up. Because I definitely want to talk about the fights and the overarching aspect to the fights. It's just I'm not sure when to talk about it. Because, like, there's, like you said, a bunch of shenanigans, like the gag with Sniper King being surprised by the rooster that does not caw like a rooster, but chirps like a bird. It's so stupid, but it gets me every time. Oh yeah, what did you think about Kaku's power?
Yeah, the giraffe form is it was definitely funny. It was cuz like most of the time when Zoro gets a fight, it's like super serious, like he's Trying to think who else he fought.
Yeah.
I can't think of really many goofy fights Zoro has had.
Even like CM and Butchie, like there were goofy designs, but I don't remember there being a lot of gags in that fight. Whereas with Kaku, it's like he rolls up to a cube and he's like, "My defense is perfect," or like, and then he's like, he attacks with all four of his legs and his legs are like twitching, or like there's, and then he names Pasta Machine mid fight because he's just like fucking around with his powers, and it's like, when I put my neck in, my arms grow like it's like a pasta machine, and he just goes, "Pasta Machine," and Zora's just like, stop naming your fucking attacks. Like it's it is very goofy, which is a little different.
And I think I don't know if it was really much of a reflection on like any sort of like character progression or anything on like Zoro's part, but just how the big thing about like these characters becoming more powerful or whatever at this stage is that like they're being fueled by anger. Like it happens with Sanji, it happens with Luffy. Like they push themselves beyond their limits because they're doing it for Robin and they're pissed. But like in this fight with Zoro, there's a lot of moments where like he kind of loses his edge because Kaku is so goofy.
Yeah, but I also wanted to say, I also think it's because like, let's put it this way: Kaku literally ate his fruit like within the hour, but he's doing shit with his own fruit that like only like having multiple forms. Like he's he makes it so his arms are longer, or he has like he almost has like a rumble ball effect. Just because, like, he's able, I don't know how, he's just fucking good at using his power, like, somehow. And, like, he's doing shit no other Zone Fruit user except for Chopper has seen, and he's not even doing it with a drug. He's just fucking doing it. Like, I think that's pretty crazy. Like, seriously, Cypher 9 him and Khalifa got a hold of their fruits fucking quick. Even though they just ate them. Like, Luffy wasn't punching out rubber fists as a child, so I just thought it was neat. Because they're top government operatives for a reason.
They were described at one point as like the strongest cipher pole
in history
or whatever.
Yeah, they value power a lot. Also, I like how like because they get handcuffed, Zoro, like Kaku and Jabra, they don't want to fight together because they just want to fight. So they're like, if we we'll unlock your handcuffs. Like they're willing to help them just because they don't like working with each other. And well, because it's like. Yeah, that's right. The thing is, like, most of the Straw Hats don't, like, they haven't had, like, character growth, I say begrudgingly, this arc, because, like, they're already, because, like, the thing with, like, Zoro, Sanji, and Nami in particular is that they're never, like, their value to the crew, or not value to the crew, their faith in the crew is kind of, it's never, like, it never became a problem. Like, Sanji, was willing, chase Robin, like, Zoro and Nami, they had never had an issue. Luffy, as the captain, he is the one sort of charged with keeping the crew together, and he's kind of fucking up. Usopp left the crew, obviously. Chopper is interesting, because I talked to you about the numbered chapters before, you remember?
Yes.
Yes, and towards the end of the stretch chapters, we get the third and the seventh person, which was Usopp and Franky. So Chopper hasn't had his chapter finished, but like, I still think that idea might have been dropped, considering like the rest of the manga. But at the same time, at least at this point in the story, Oda might have been planning for Chopper to leave the crew at some point. And if there's a reason he might leave the crew, it probably has something to do with his transformation. So in other words, like, Chopper, or the fact that he's a monster, So basically, like, the three Straw Hats, like, Luffy and Chopper in particular, they're the ones who don't, like, I don't know, what I'm trying to say is that Zoro, Sanji, and Nami, like, in their fights, there's no, like, character growth specifically, but rather it's more because they're, they're still holding on to what aspects of their character they have. Like, Sanji, like, he has the thing with Khalifa where he's not willing to hit her, even when she's doing tricky shit. But with Kajabra, he does do tricky shit, and Sanji doesn't fall for it because he sees the best in women, but he doesn't care, men, whatever. So he discriminates, but Nami, like, even says she respects that trait because, like, she's like, it's stupid and I don't understand it, but you know what, you're that's fine for doing it. And then right before she goes to fight Khalifa. So with Zoro, he's like, cause, okay, this was real, I'm basically just gonna talk about all the fights now. I'm sorry, cause it's like, it's an idea that runs through all of them, but, so with Zoro and Kaku, like, if you remember last time I talked about how Zoro, he is a swordsman, so he's vulnerable to blades, while Mr. One wasn't a swordsman, so he's not vulnerable to blades. Well, there's a part during the Kaku fight where Zoro and Kaku, like, Kaku's, he's like he said, would that have cut me if I was iron? But I could have decided whether I wanted to be iron or not. Because I think Zoro did his lion song. Well, that's because Kaku is a swordsman, but he's also a carpenter. So he could switch between whether he's vulnerable to blades or not, because he could decide whether he's a swordsman or not. And that's kind of what, like, Zoro is basically focused on being a swordsman. Like, I kind of wish I understood more about Buddhism, because maybe I'd be able to make a connection with Ashura there. But, like, Kaku is one who switches between, and Zoro's sort of, like, focused. So, like, basically Zoro's still a swordsman, Sanji's still, chivalrous, and Nami's, like, she's out predicting Khalifa. So it's like, because they're the ones unified to the crew, and they're still keeping on to their ideals, even in the face of, like, their strongest enemies yet, that they're basically able to overcome their opponents. Whereas, like, Luffy and Chopper, it's a little bit more complex because they're less unified to the crew. Well, or like Luffy's having trouble keeping the crew together, rather. Because, like, Usopp and Robin don't even get fights because they're the ones who aren't on the crew, or left the crew, basically. And, Franky was more unified to the crew than, like, because it's like, there was shit happening, and, like, Chopper and Luffy would get mad at him for the Usopp shit, and he's like, hey, I'm on your side now. Like, he's just, like, he adapted better than Chopper and Luffy are letting him, basically. So, anyway, and of course, obviously, the Cypherful 9 isn't very unified, as we kind of see in that moment, which is what spawned this giant rant. So, that was part of what I had to say about the fights. I'm sorry, I just went off there. What were we talking about? I blacked out.
What I did like about at least the Zoro and Luffy fights was that they were sort of hinted at, like, so long ago, like when Kaku went to, like, observe the ship the very first time, and it's Zoro who he kind of, like, there was that moment where they had, like, a little bit of a standoff because Zoro didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, and they were fighting back at Iceberg's Manor too, I think.
Oh yeah, they did have that scuffle too, and then the same with Luffy and Lucci, because he's the pigeon guy and the pigeon's talking and conspiracy.
And like Luffy, like they even talk about it later, how Luffy recognized Lucci as the strongest through his animal instincts, So even when they don't even have the number system, the power levels, so but he still knew, just because he fought him for a bit. See, and
another thing I kind of thought was interesting about the fights was that in the last podcast, you had asked me, like, well, how do you think the fights are going to play out? Who do you think's going to fight who? And I gave a few, and then, like, that didn't happen at first. And I was like, oh, was I maybe wrong? Like, Nami didn't fight Khalif. Oh, wait. Never mind.
Yeah,
it happened anyway. It just didn't start that way.
Exactly, yeah, because you were correct about Sanji and Jabra and Nami and Khalifa, though you weren't sure about Kumadori or Fukuro. But if you had just used deduction, you might have just been able to, like, well, then again, Usopp didn't get a fight, so he's like an extra one, and Robin Robin, I guess, fought Spandam, but so did Franky. It was weird. Usopp fought Spandam too, if you count the long shot. But yeah, I did like Sanji's confrontation with Khalifa. Like, he's pretending, he's like trying to intimidate her into giving up the key, but, well, because I noticed it during the fight too with Nami, is just Khalifa's very straightforward, and she's also kind of stupid. Like, as we saw, like, she sees Monster Chopper and she's like, "Oh my god, is this your secret technique?" And Nami's like, "That's not me, you dumbass." Like, because that's the thing. Sanji's trying to be roundabout, but Khalifa, she's too straightforward, and she counters him, and obviously because he won't physically hit her. So yeah. And yeah, Sanji gets beat. But yeah, I want to talk about this because, like, people think it's a character flaw because, like, Sanji suffers for it, but that's not, like, but ultimately he's rewarded for it. That's the thing. And as we see, like I talked about the Jabra fight already, he gets a power up because he keeps to his ideals. And Nami is, like, impressed by it. Even if she says he's stupid, she's like, it's not a flaw. Oh, and Luffy uses Gear 3rd to break the gates. I'm skimming through because I've already said a big piece on the fights. So though we can go to Franky and Fukuro, or if you have nothing to say about what's before.
I mean, like the Sanji stuff, I feel like there should be more to that. Like, not necessarily in this arc itself.
I will say there's definitely more to it, but go on.
Okay, then that's basically it. Well, because I guess I will give my sort of little 2 cents on how this played out. I wasn't I don't know. Chivalry is weird because on one hand, I think it's a good thing, but I also think that, there are certain aspects of it that aren't great. So, like, seeing Sanji kind of, I don't know, he gets beaten up and loses the fight, so he is sort of punished, but he's also, like, I don't know, he has a moment later in the arc, so it's kind of like, it's a mixed sort of response to how his fight with Caulifla goes.
Yeah,
So
well, that's
I'm not
also
like,
true of other, like, his self-sacrifice in particular. It's sometimes useful, it's sometimes useless. Like, there's more to it, though. Like, well, I was gonna say, because, like, again, Robin is on the line here, but, like, Sanji was still trying to get the key. He was also, but it's like, the characters have to be themselves. That's the thing. It's like, they can't, if they're, like that's the thing with Usopp. If he had to change to join the crew in a way that wouldn't be fitting to Usopp, then he wouldn't be a real fit for the crew. But he does, but he wants to change. That's the thing. He joined the crew to change, and his issue is in his inability to change, not in that he has to change for the crew. Like, so yeah, if Sanji wasn't fit for the crew, then yeah. Anyway, you were talking.
I know he did have that line of dialogue where he said, I don't kick women. That was drummed into me as a kid. So I feel like there's more to Sanji's, past that we don't yet know of that maybe we'll see later. But yeah, Nami had to clean up the mess, and then other fights happen.
Yes, but I will definitely say that Sanji's character is very much revisited over the course of the series. So, really love this moment because it really illustrates what I was saying last time. Luffy breaks through the door, and Spandam was like, "Did we hear just loud noise?" And Lucci was like, "Maybe it has something to do with the child and pet that were following us." And Spandam is so like, "What the fuck? Why didn't you do something about that?" And Zora's like, "You didn't like look at his smug fucking face. He's just like, you didn't give me the order." Because again, it goes back to what I was talking about last time about how Lucci just does what's ordered because it's in service to him, and that also goes for what isn't ordered. And in this case, like, he wants to fight Luffy because Luffy's a strong guy, and like it's gonna be enjoyable to him. So he's willing to like do something that goes against like the Marines' code, the government's idea of justice, because it's in service to him. That's his dark justice. He just does what's ordered. Like with we get a little bit of his backstory later, and he killed like 500 hostages because those 500 hostages were getting in the way of what he wanted to do, or they were getting in the way of his mission. Like, and by killing the hostages, he was able to complete the mission, basically. So that's just Lucci. So, and it's just a good little moments, and that fucking expression, I love it. So anyway, did you have anything to say on Franky versus Fukuro? Because this is a silly fight. But I like the gags, so you know me. I love laughing at One Piece gags. I do it all the time on this podcast.
Yeah, it was interesting how this and the Chopper situation sort of, they mixed together. Like, you had the one guy getting trapped in the fridge, and
yes,
Frankie's like, give me the cola, and Chopper tossed him like a bunch of drinks, and he's like, oh, what is this guy? And he, Chopper being the scientifically minded person that he is, he's like, I wonder what else I could give him and see what other sort of transformations he'll do.
Chopper's so cute. Yeah, it was fun. And I like the payoff too, because he where he's like, oh yeah, my punches were weak. He just fucking blasts Fukuro through a bunch of walls. Like, yeah, that's awesome. Oh, and another one I like is the tracking cannonball, where the cannonballs are normal. It is Franky who tracks them. He tracks the opponent by running after them. It's just so stupid. I love it.
Also, it was kind of cool that, and Oda touched on this later in the SBS, but how he has, like, engraved on his arms BF-36, because he was the last Battle Franky he made, because then he started destroying ships, and good character details.
Yes, it's just a little thing, but it's perfect. But anyway, there's a moment later that is sort of like where the conflict, because like I guess like so I already talked about the unity aspect with the crew, and sort of how the ones who have to grow are the ones who are like failing, Luffy in particular. But like there's also power, and this goes into what we're talking, like the power levels, like because the government is power basically. Like the Buster Call is just this absolute destruction, and they have this system of measuring how strong Cypherpole 9 is, but at the same time, like, they even kind of say power is, technique is also power. But in a storytelling sense, like, power is, it's there, but it's not all that matters. And there's several fights, like, again, the unity aspect, with Luffy in particular, really plays into Lucci. Because I would honestly go as far as say as Luffy is weaker than Lucci, but he still won because he was fighting harder because of his comrades. And so So basically, like, and that's the thing, all the Cypherpole 9 sort of have a failing in their power because of who they're up against. Like, it's basically like, you remember in Hunter x Hunter where Bisky is training Killua, and she shows him that one chart about, like, how, strong people aren't always fighting at their best, so, someone who's, like, this powerful fighting at their best can beat someone who's this powerful fighting at their weakest. Like, that's kind of what this is. And with Fukuro, I think what I thought was interesting is because they're both, like, bragging about their power, like, because they're both talking about how their punches are strong and the other person's were wimpy. But then we find out Franky was underselling himself, but Fukuro, like, that's the thing, he brags about being this owl, because he's a secret operative, he operates in the shadows, but he won't shut the fuck up. And so he's, like, so his words are, like, not only are they contradictive of his position, but they're also not really earned, because, he's not that... But Franky, he's either on the money or he undersells himself. So there's a bit of, like, humility aspect here, in a way. And so I noticed that, and I was like, hey, that's just a neat little contrast. Because, Fukuro's power, like, his words are not his power, but he won't shut up. So nice going, asshole. That's what the Zip Project about this for, so he can shut up. I think they even said that last time, and he doesn't. He just never does.
Yeah, I guess that's the big difference between the characters is that, Cypherpole, they have the power, but, like, what are they using it for? Like, what drives them? What are they, like, fighting for? Whereas the Straw Hats are fighting for, trying to keep the crew together. They're fighting for their unity and for their ambitions.
Right,
so,
well, yeah.
Like, they have something driving them to, I guess, help them push further, even if they might be, however the power works, if they have less power, they're still able to find more because they have something to drive them.
Because they're fighting for their friends, their energy is infinite, as Nami said last time. And, well, another thing is, like, because Lucci even said last time he doesn't care about Spandam's ideals. Like, and I love how later when he's fighting Luffy, he respects Luffy more as a captain than he does Spandam. Like, he respects his enemy more than his ally. And that's, like, of course they're gonna fail. And so with, because, like, Spandam's the only one who really cares about what they're doing, but he also has the least power. He's the one wielding it uncaringly almost. Like, he fucking activates Buster Call and he's like, whatever. It's just a few thousand soldiers. Like, fucking prick. It's fucking Spandam, piece of shit. I love him. I love to hate him as well. So yeah, before we get to the next fight, Chopper versus Kumadori, I really like the one gag with, Zoro and Usopp, and them being stuck together. Like, Zoro's like, hey, we'll do rock, paper, scissors, and I'll cut off, the loser will have their hand cut off.
Yes.
And then after that, I just really love the panel where there's, like, Zoro's got this really serious expression, and he's like, I have another idea. And Usopp's like, no. And then he's just, like, getting all up in Zoro's face. Like, something about the way, like, Zoro's face is squashed, but still serious is really funny to me. It's just I have another idea. And it's just like, no, Zoro, shut up.
Yeah, Zoro using Sniper King as a sword is probably one of my favorite gags in this arc.
That's a great one. Oh, I will say, because this is around when I started reading weekly, by the way. So after this point, I read all these chapters as they were coming out, like back in high school. I specifically remember telling my friend who didn't read One Piece about, like, the Whitebeard and Shanks stuff, and, like, because it was hype. And, like, because especially, I will say, because obviously during the Chopper fight, he turns into a monster. And I really, I was definitely reading chapters before this because I remember the Kaku falling through the roof. But I really remember the Chopper one because I would like look up chapter spoilers because people would leak details of the chapters, like, blur, and they'd post these, like, really low quality pages. And for some reason, the Chopper one really sticks in my brain because, like, it was this spooky big image of Monster Chopper, but it was, like, made even lower quality. So, like, the there was a crease in the page. It was, like, grayer. There was because it was the image.
So it's even spookier because you can't really make out what's happening.
Exactly. I could see what was clearly Monster Chopper, but it was because there was less details. It's just been in my brain for over a decade. Like, hold on, when were these chapters airing? Let me check the wiki. Airing. Publishing. So chapter 407 was April 17th, 2006. So what were you doing in 2006, Mathwiz?
I don't.
What grade
no
were
idea.
you in, at least?
That's what 12 years ago. I would have still been in grade school, probably.
Oh my god. So at that time I was in high school reading One Piece. Gotcha. I just wanted to put that in perspective.
Yeah, because 2006, I would have been 9.
Oh my god. So you were in 4th grade, I assume? Give or take.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, so I definitely wasn't into anime, let alone One Piece.
That's a recent thing, anyway. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because now I know exactly how long I've been reading this shit, and I still love it. So anyway, did you have any thoughts on Chopper versus Kumadori? Seeing this poor little animal boy just get his shit kicked in.
Yeah, I thought that the conflict with the Rumble Ball was interesting. At least the second one, how he couldn't even really use what he wanted to use. So it made it didn't last all that long, but it made, I don't know, it was more interesting than just like, oh, I have a new power and boom, I use power and win.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like because everyone else got a power up because they're like, part of the crew and they're, still themselves. But like Chopper, well, because also Chopper contrasts with Kumadori in that Kumadori has full control over his body, like every hair follicle, as he says. But Chopper, after eating the Rumble Ball, or after eating the second or third one, he has no control over his body. Like he's still lacking, honestly. Like that's the thing. And that's why Chopper lost, quote unquote. But then he has the monster form, which is basically another aspect that comes in later with Luffy. But it's basically like these characters who are, less, in line with the crew, because obviously Oda's planning for Chopper to leave at this point of the story, based on if you agree with the numbered chapter idea, but like yeah, because Chopper he makes this complete desperation move, and he just goes like he just turns into a monster, this mindless beast that just starts attacking his friends and everything indiscriminately. So like it's an important point in Chopper's arc, I would say, but I'm not quite sure because I have to reread stuff, but even I'm not quite sure where it's going. Like there's definitely some resolution of sorts, but I definitely want to I need to think more about Chopper's character. But what I'll say is like what I thought was interesting, because he's already sort of like back in the Garasu fight, he was he said that he was a monster, but at the same time, like this kind of contextualizes a bit more about how he felt about himself, because he'd almost destroyed a village back on Drum because of his fruit. But not just because of his fruit, but because of, like, his science. Like, this happens because he didn't, he was, he's using his medicine incorrectly, basically. So, yeah, it's interesting. And yeah, I do like how it's like, it's not just a power-up. It goes on to cause more trouble later.
Yeah, so with the Chopper thing, I guess it's not the original fight that's the most interesting part to me, but it's more what happens after with the transformation and
mm-hmm. Yeah, and him going around to all the other things and just in general causing havoc.
Yeah, and this was another one of those ways that sort of the battles intertwine, because Chopper then shows up in the Nami fight, and
yes.
And that's also what gets Sanji back into fighting mode, is because Chopper was wrecking stuff.
And he spills the tub, and the tub washes off the soap of Sanji, so he's able to, so it's like, it's just a super important stuff. It just happens, like, Chopper's most important thing isn't even beating up Kumadori, because Nami stole the key. It was just beating up Kumadori was just getting this strong dude off of everyone else's hair. So, getting his hair out of everyone else's hair, I guess. Anyway, Nami and Khalifa, I already mentioned some of what I got out of this fight, but did you have any thoughts about it?
I like the way it started off, where Nami is like, "Wait, what's your power? How do you do?" And she's like, "You're gonna have to find out that mystery for yourself." And then Nami immediately figures it out, and she's like, but just because you know what my power is, it doesn't mean you can win."
Khalifa's so stupid. Like, that's one thing I forgot, is just how, like, Nami even says she's a ditz. Like, and again, like I said, she's very straightforward. Like, her strategy for when Nami does, like, the duplication illusion is just attack each of them one by one. Like, all she knows, like, even Fukuro and Jabra have more of a, like, idea of power. Like, they're not only just stronger than her in raw strength, but they're also just, like, they use more, like, technique, basically. But her idea of technique is basically just go for it and hit it. Like, she's just so, Nami, she has to out-predict her, as she does, and outsmart her, because Khalifa's just too dumb but so even if she's stronger than Nami, it doesn't matter, because Nami outsmarts her. So yeah. I don't think I had much else to say about the fight. It's fine. Actually, it's probably Nami's best one, I would say. Not that she's had that many, unfortunately. But anyway, also the Buster Call gets triggered.
Yeah, by complete accident, and that's what I think that's a really cool sort of twist of fate here, or maybe that's not the correct way to use the term, but basically it just goes to show that, like, you give power to someone who is completely incompetent, like Spandam, and he's gonna accidentally trigger the Buster Call and destroy an entire island by mistake.
Yeah, well, I would also go as far to say, like, I'm not even sure if the Straw, like, because I'm not sure if the Straw Hats would have been able to, like, because the Buster Call also caused a lot of chaos, so I mean, it was helpless too. So maybe they would have been able to escape otherwise, but without the Buster Call. But it, like, I don't know. I'm not sure. But because basically, yeah, it didn't help. That's for sure. It's because Spandam's a fuck up. So.
See, yeah. I guess this is where I can kind of give a little bit of discussion as the person who isn't familiar with One Piece and didn't know any of this was coming. I don't know if I really had much expectations as to whether or not the Buster Call would get used, because I guess if it doesn't, it's kind of like a Chekhov's gun, but the whole threat was that it was present, less that it would happen. But yeah, like, it's even who's the character that says something later that, like, the characters like these who become like revolutionaries or whatever, like, it all comes down to like a matter of circumstance and chance, but also, like, you know, personal drive or whatnot. And so, like, Spandam, like, accidentally initiating the Buster Call, which kind of inadvertently helps the Straw Hats escape. It's I feel like this is I mean, it's sort of carrying on what we saw in, like, Logtown, where the characters had to, well, like, they kind of escape by, like, this, like, chance storm, but also, like, partially down to their abilities as well, but there's, like, a bit of chance involved, so this is kind of continuing to build off of what had been established, like, way before, in a way.
Yeah, well, because they're always, like, perfect for the situation, like, you know, the, like, ideological, it's like a story, it's almost like storytelling is inherently contrived or something to tell a good story, what do you know? And yeah, but they're definitely guided by luck, as well, like, that always factors in, but at the same time, they also just don't give up, and they fight the fucking hearts out, like fucking Luffy. He ends it. Like, I love how after he beats Lucci, he's just like, oh yeah, I can't move. So, yeah.
Also, I really like how Spandam, he's even more incompetent because, like, he's talking on the other transponder scale, which is actually just transmitting to the entire island, so everybody knows that Spandam's a doofus now.
No, that was Straw Hat Luffy transmitting, don't you remember? Oh no, this is actually Straw Hat Luffy who just said that I'm going to sacrifice the whole island to capture Robin. No, shut up. Fucking asshole. I feel like I had some thoughts, because, like, Luffy fights Lucci, and he doesn't try to beat him immediately, and as we find out, like, well, because the way I see it is, like, because Lucci is stronger than Blueno, and I don't think, like, Luffy, you know, if he just uses all of his power right away, like, I feel like he's trying to kill time, because, like, just going all out isn't necessarily going to save Robin. Like, he's mostly there to keep Lucci tied down, because otherwise Lucci, like, they point out later, if Luffy loses, Lucci will kill everyone else. Like, he's just too strong. So it's like, he doesn't really start using his gears until Franky arrives, because then Franky can get to Robin. You know, so basically he's sort of like leaving Robin to everyone else, because only he can do this. So I feel like he's kind of like, because he fights Lucci for a while, and neither of them they're just like kind of just warming up. Like, not Luffy's not using his gears, Lucci's not using his Devil Fruit. Like, they're just killing time almost. And, you know, Lucci's trying to have fun, so it kind of makes sense for both of them. I just wanted to point that out. Also, their fighting just looks really cool. I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that too. Like, isn't this because I feel like I've heard that complaint before. Just, this is a serious situation. Shouldn't Luffy be fighting harder or whatever?
No, I did like that he prioritized, like, getting Franky to Robin before just, like, I don't know, because, like, he made sure to, like, get Lucci out of the way instead of, I don't know, I don't know what else he would have done, but...
Yeah.
Well, actually, even before Franky got there, like, Luffy was trying to get to Robin, like, he wasn't necessarily initially concerned with fighting Lucci.
That's true.
Like,
that's true. Okay. You're right. I think so. I was wrong.
Yeah, because as soon as he gets there, he tries to, like, run for the door, and Lucci stops him, and then...
I forgot about that, so yeah, you're right.
Also, I like how the one chapter is named, like, what was the exact name? Yeah, supersized Nami, but it's actually just Chopper.
But anyway, so anyway, they get the key to Usopp and Zoro. Usopp and Zoro get freed, and here I think we get like a really great moment for Usopp because Usopp's getting his shit kicked in by Jabra, which is pretty brutal because he's like we know Usopp's the weakest and Jabra's the third strongest. Like he might as well be second because he's still pretty close to Kaku, and so Sanji comes in to save him. And did you have any thoughts on the moment where Sanji says, he gives Usopp a pep talk and sort of tells him to do what he can? Cause
yeah, he said I will do what you can't do, so you do what I can't do. And I wasn't quite sure what that meant at first because like the panel of like it had the split half
yes.
Usopp, half Sniper King, and it just looks really cool. And I was like, oh god, what's Usopp gonna do? Like what can he do that no one else can do? Oh wait.
Yes, he can reach Robin first. And that's what I think is really great about this because, power isn't just it's not just strength, but that's what, power levels are and what, some of the Cyberpol members are like, yeah, we have power level, we're strong. But that's also Usopp's failing because he saw Aokiji and he's like, I can't be this strong. He couldn't envision himself fighting an admiral, because the Straw Hats need that strength if they need to become Pirate King, but he can't see himself doing that. And that's what he's kind of doing as Sniper King. He's trying to fight Jabra. He's trying to be strong, but that's not what he should be doing. He's trying to be the hero, but he's just losing. He's just getting his ass beat because that's not where his power lies. Because his power is his insane reach with his Kabuto. Because he reached Robin first. Even though Franky's already gone after Robin at this point. So even though Usopp went after Robin slightly later than Franky, he still reached her first with his and saved her from getting captured. If not for Usopp, Robin would have been captured. They would have gone through the gates of justice. Usopp wouldn't have been able to. Or no one else would have been able to stop him. So it's that's what I think. Well, because it's I realized this during this moment because Usopp puts on the mask. He's trying to be a hero, and heroes are in part defined by their power, their superpowers especially. So it's Usopp wanting to be hero isn't he wants to be strong because he's not strong, but at the same time it's also he's doing more as Usopp, as the sniper of the Straw Hat Pirates, than he is as the hero, who will beat Jabra because he won't. So this was a really good moment. So I wanted to ask what you were saying. Of course, you didn't have the context from later, so
no, yeah, and I do like how Usopp, especially because at the start of this saga, he left the crew, so it's if he wasn't here, this wouldn't have happened. Robin probably would have been captured. So it goes to show that even though they had their big falling out, Usopp is still he was still essential to the crew. He's still a valued part of the team.
Right.
Because he did a thing that nobody else could have done.
Right, his whole failing was because he saw it in terms of strength, just like the world government does. But there's more nuance to power than that, and Sanji helped him understand that through this good little moment, and it's really cool. Anyway, did you have anything to say on the Sanji Jabra fight and Diablo Jambe?
I mean, Sanji has a flaming leg and a fiery kick.
Okay, that's the thing is because characters, creating fire through friction. That does happen later, but then there's also okay, how did he learn to do this? Because Wayne's was doing a fire kick back on the train, and the Red Shoes Zeph maybe had a hand in it. I don't know why Sanji only figured it out now. That's because it's just kind of never really explained. I don't have a problem with it again because it goes into they're retaining their values in the face of their strongest opposition yet, and these guys were the most loyal to the crew. And again, Sanji, so it's fine, because again, he treats Jabra differently because he's a man. He discriminates. That's where his strength comes from, which definitely has again, we'll get to more into that way later. But yeah, so that was about all. Jabra's also, I don't know, he's just an asshole. And I don't know, I like how his design, how his the detail, his mustache and his glasses, I like how they get transformed into his wolf form. I don't know, he looks neat. Yeah, I didn't have much else to say about the fight.
Yeah, this arc was certainly interesting in that, like, Luffy and Zoro and Sanji, this is their first real, like, power up or, like, quote unquote
Yes.
form change.
Yes.
Although I'm not quite sure, something similar with Zoro, like, I'm not quite sure where these quote unquote power ups came from. If it's something that, like, they could have done from the very beginning, or if they did, I don't know. There was no real like training arc or anything before this, so I'm
like,
guessing they
for
just kind of
Luffy-
like figured it out at some point.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like with Zoro and Sanji, it's like a little iffy because, like with Luffy, how much effort he puts in has been like a major part of his character arc since the beginning when he was goofing off against like Buggy and even Arlong and Kurt, like or not Craig. Like he's just he just messes around, and this is after fighting Aokiji. He's finally recognized that he's not going to be strong enough, so he finally starts to get stronger. And then there's more to it, as I'll discuss later. But like with Zoro and Sanji, I guess like they just figured it out somehow. Like Zoro he's been growing as a swordsman throughout so far. Like he especially learning how to cut steel and how to cut air. So it's like I don't know what the fuck Ashura is because it's such a weird ability, and unlike Sanji, no other character has displayed anything remotely like it. So I just don't know what the fuck to think, and I also don't know about I guess it's a Buddhism reference. So like I just don't know what the fuck, man. And Sanji's a little weirder just because Luffy, how much effort he put in matters. With Zoro, he's been growing steadily. Sanji's just like he's just able to do this now for I don't know. Like again, I'm fine with it like thematically, but it doesn't like I still don't know why how it makes sense in the story. So and maybe it'll get explained at some point, but it hasn't been yet. I will say so. So anyway, there is one more of the side fights left. Did you have anything to say about Zoro versus Kaku?
As for the fight itself, I didn't. Yeah, I guess for the fight itself, I don't really have a whole lot to say.
Yeah, I think I still like in retrospect. I think I've said this is my favorite Zoro fight before, but I think I still like Mr. One better. Though I like the detail of how like he's a carpenter and a swordsman, so he's both he can beat iron and he can't because that's the other thing is like he's almost too adaptable because he's like so many things. He's an assassin, he's a giraffe, he's a carpenter, he's a swordsman, and he has like his giraffe. He has so many different forms, and he's just kind of like, and he is kind of he's still figuring out his powers. But Zoro is very focused. He's a swordsman, and he like condenses that swordsmanship into like the whatever Ashura is. Again, I really wish I could say something about that because like I don't know, maybe like multiple swords are the multiple ideas he's like gathered through it's like the culmination of his growth almost. But it's like I don't know. I don't know what Ashura is supposed to be like in mythology, so I can't say much. So I just feel like I'm missing something with Zoro, and apparently the breath thing is also Buddhist. So it basically Zoro is like bleach. Oda just took like I don't know, swords are just bleach apparently because and Zoro and it's all Buddhist and I don't know Buddhism, so I don't know. So yeah, I wish I could get more out of this fight, but I don't have the tools. I still liked it though. It's fine, and I really like the scene at the end where Kaku where Zoro gets fired and Kaku's like, oh shit, well like because I think, so Ani on my server was just pointing it out. Let me find it. Oh yeah, that was what he's saying. Because the characters got stronger. The Cypherpull 9 characters got in the 5 years. So from the shipwright work. So which I think he noted that Kaku and Khalifa, especially Kaku, just kind of like he misses it. So because he cut himself off from the carpenter work. So maybe I missed something. My memory's bad. I didn't read it. I just skimmed it. Anyway, let's move on.
Well, yeah, because I guess Kaku he'd even said like when he looked at the Merry Go, he had said that.
Yeah, he doesn't lie about his work. Yeah,
so like there was some interest there. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he's still a good carpenter, even if he's also an assassin. Like he did his best. Like that's the thing. Even Lucci, to a lesser degree, Like, because we never really see him, like, we see him working, but he doesn't seem like, I mean, he's mostly speaking through the pigeon, so it's like we didn't see him invested. Like, he was one of the top shipwrights at Galley Lost, so, yeah. Which is really weird. I don't know, it's like, even me having known this, it's just like thinking back of Lucci the Assassin and just like him just casually working on ships, it's just like it's weird in my brain because he's such an evil fucker. So anyway, everyone's done with the fight, so they go off to take the keys to Robin. And Spandam is just fucking brutalizing her, like, because she's trying to escape. Obviously, she wants to get back to her friends, but she has no power because she's captured. And the bit with her biting down on the bridge to fuck Spandam, him. He's great. He's a great antagonist because I fucking hate him.
I think what's also sort of interesting about Spandam is he is very much so the guy who is he's just such a dick that you just want to see him get punched in the face. And like that happens so many times. Like he even beats himself up by accident just because he's a buffoon.
It never gets old.
You know, even then, like, even though he gets the shit kicked out of him, like he keeps coming back. Like even in like the flashback in the thing, like he gets beaten up and now he's in this mask, but he's still around. So it's like, even though it's satisfying to see him get beaten up, like there's more to do to fully get rid of him. Like
Franky crushes him with Funk Freed, Robin slaps the shit out of him with her powers, and he's still up after that, like barking orders. Like the dude is fucking durable. So yeah. Anyway, but there was another moment between them that I liked, because I mentioned it last time that Spandam is Spandine's son. I didn't realize that hadn't been stated yet. Like, it's given a bit of reveal to it, and I'm like, oh, I spoiled that. I'm sorry, I didn't know it was supposed to be a secret.
Yeah, I like, even before you spoiled it, I kind of assumed that was the case, because they both had the similar names.
Right, and similar positions, so, but then, like, one thing I thought was, like, because, Robin's reaction, crying, like, I don't want to see Robin cry anymore, but because, like, the thing with, like, Robin is, you know, she's all that's left of Alhara, so it's, like, by previously wanting to die, she even though she cared about Alhara, she also was, like, she's what's left of it, so in letting herself die, she lets Alhara die, because, like, she's the only one who remembers it as, like, because it's, like, demonized, like, Iceberg and the government, they're just, like, the demons of Alhara, and, like, she told Iceberg, what do you know about Alhara? But, like, so her sacrificing herself to, you know, save the Straw Hats is also, like, it doesn't, like, it's also killing Alhara, basically, you know, people only die when they're forgotten, and Robin's the only one who remembers, so, and yeah, so it's kind of, I realized during this moment that it's kind of like, because now she wants to live, now she wants to, you know, carry O'Hara's will, but at the same time, I guess what I noticed was Spandam is also carrying Spandine's will, so it's like it goes for the other side too, but he's only, you know, but he obviously fails, so, because Sniper King fucking interjects. And they're like, how the fuck can anyone, where are we getting shot from? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, because he's all the way back on the Tower of Law, which is like on a separate little chunk of the island.
Fucking yes. And then, and he's able to help Robin escape and let Franky delivers the keys. Usopp saves the fucking day, basically.
Now, I know there's like the, when Franky takes the cuffs off her, he did note that it was like key 5, and so I went back and checked to see who got the 5th key, and it was Zoro, and I'm not sure if there was any significance out of that, but of course, like, Usopp also matters because the keys would not, like, when Franky was like, Oda was paying attention to like which keys Franky had, like he had 3 and 4 or something, so like he didn't have the key that would have gotten her, so like if it wasn't for Zoro's fight to get the key that was the one to unlock it, and then for Usopp to like shoot it over there. I don't know if this means anything thematically, but it's there, so I figure I'll point it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I mean, everyone working together saved Robin, of course, but so yeah, that is true that it was Zoro who happened to get the key. So
yeah, because Kaku had the number 5 or whatever, and that was the one.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, once Robin frees, the first thing she does is start beating the shit out of Spandam, and she's like, I could do this all day, and I'm like, yes, please, just go 24 hours, just beat the shit out of him. because he was abusing her, he was being an asshole, and he's just a stupid fucking general. So now he's getting the shit kicked out of him, and it's great. Oh, man.
But before we go too far,
okay.
There was a popularity poll.
Did I completely pass it? Yes, I did.
Yeah, it was right at the end of that volume.
Yes, you're right. I did miss it. Good catch.
So I guess I can use this as a good excuse to, I guess, rank my current standing on the Straw Hats, but let's talk about the popularity poll first, and then I'll give my thoughts.
Okay, because Luffy's number one. Like, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, that almost never changes. Chopper is surprisingly high, considering he hasn't... But at this point, I guess he's a monster, so maybe people are like, oh no. And Robin being high is completely understandable. And I think this might be the only time where, like, all Straw Hats dominate the top ranks. Because, like, 1 through 7 is all the Straw Hats, and that I don't think has happened yet, because, like, Shanks or Ace has been higher. And I don't remember if it happens after or not. But I'm pretty sure Franky never ranks high even as a Straw Hat. So... which is very sad. But anyway, did you have any things to note about? Because there's a couple I want to point out.
Yeah, I was surprised that, like, Nami was a fair bit down in this poll. Like, she was like 5. Like, Usopp and Robin and Chopper are all pretty close. But then Nami's like a good 600 votes behind or whatever.
Also, I take it back,
which is a little disappointing.
The results for the last one, and the top 6 were also the Straw Hats, so, because Usopp was 6th
and I guess
place,
that would have been before Robin.
Yes, so never mind, I was wrong. But anyway,
you got Mihawk in there at 8, my boy Mihawk.
Kaku's
Ace
at 9,
is still in there at 10.
So Kaku's the most popular character from this arc, because Lucci's at 12, Franky's at 13, Aokiji's at 16. I thought this was fucking weird. And, because, so if you go on to the last page, you'll see, 65th place, the Chirping Chicken, like, 64th place is Saul, 97th place is Kumadori. Like, he did fucking horrible for one of the new villains. Like, no one likes Kumadori that much. Like, he ranked worse than Spandine. Like, what did Kumadori do wrong? Like, because I think, where's Fukuro? Like, Fukuro's at 26th, Caulifla's at 23rd, Spandab's at 28th, like, everyone else did okay, like, there's Jabra Kaku, like, who's missing? Bluno, where's Bluno? He might have done better than Bluno, I don't see Bluno. Oh no, there's Bluno.
Bluno I know was on here somewhere.
He's 81st, he's 81st, so, Bluno didn't do that well either, but Kumadori ranking lower is weirder to me, because he's the one being more active at the, I don't know, because Bluno's kind of, like, not standing out, but Kumadori's, like, goofy and such. But he didn't do anything. Like, Wayne's is at 75th place. Fucking Wayne's. So yeah, I just noticed Bakersville, the 3-headed judge, is 84. Like, all these characters are doing better. It's weird. Okay, and Marshall D. Teach is way too fucking low. I don't know. He has a lot of presence for me personally, so it's weird to see him at 94.
Well, then again, I guess this was before he really did his big thing.
Oh, yes, that does happen later. That is true. But, I mean, I just, even just his introduction is really great for me, so. But then again, I also...
Well, yeah, because we know that he's Blackbeard, the guy that Ace is looking for. We know a little bit about him without actually knowing a lot, but enough to be like, this is clearly a big player.
Yes. Oh, interesting. The Club Otterman has a couple more votes than Mary itself.
Rest in peace.
But we'll talk about that later. Did you have anything more to say? Oh, you want to talk about how you feel about the Straw Hats?
Yeah, it's because I think a couple people have asked me, like, what are my favorite characters at this point or whatever. So I guess if I was to rank the Straw Hats, I'll do it now, and this might change over the course of the series, but I don't know. My favorite Straw Hat is probably Zoro at this point.
Least favorite or favorite? I didn't hear.
Favorite. So, like, I'll start from the top and go down. So Zoro's probably number 1.
Interesting.
Number 2. Maybe I should have gone from the bottom. Okay, let's go back. Start over. From the bottom, I'd say my least favorite's probably Sanji.
Okay.
Then next would be
it's hard.
Chopper, maybe.
Chopper would be towards my bottom, though.
Yeah, so I think I have Sanji at the bottom. Then I think Chopper would be 6. 5. This is hard. This is really hard.
Well, you're not even counting Franky, so it's even harder. It would be even harder.
I guess Franky would... Shoot. Yeah, I'm not going to count Franky. So I know Zoro's at 1. Okay, so, I don't know. Number 7, Sanji. Number 6, Chopper. Number 5, fucking, I don't know, Luffy, but Luffy's good.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I'm trying to think, like, who would you say? Luffy, Usopp, Nami. I know you like all of them. Robin, like, that's all that's like they're somewhere in the middle, like jumbled up because they're all so good. Like for me, I'd put Chopper at the bottom because like he's fine, but it's like I need more of him, and I there's some parts I definitely want to reread. But other than that, I'm not gonna say because it's too hard, and I have later knowledge, so it's even more jumbled.
Yeah, that's the thing is at this point, Sanji just is a little off-putting to me, which is why I have him below Chopper. I do want to see more out of Chopper.
Well, like the thing with Sanji, because we kind of getting to it is like, but like because his ideals aren't politically correct, and I feel like. You know, like, and they're being rewarded even though they aren't politically correct, which is like, so if you disagree with that, I'm absolutely fine with that. The issue I see with people dissing that, though, is that they're also, like, disregarding, like, the story, because, like, yeah, even if you don't agree with it, that doesn't mean, like, there isn't, like, an idea with his character, because people just dismiss Sanji as this stupid pervert, but, like, if you don't like him, okay, but that doesn't mean, like, there aren't, like, meaningful themes and conflicts in his character. You know, like, recognize him before you dismiss him. Like, as like you could say, you could recognize everything to his character and still not like him. Okay, just don't dismiss him because you don't like him, is what I'm saying. So, yeah.
Yeah, I do recognize that there's stuff going on with his character. I just don't really care for him.
Yeah, that's fine. And I've been here to explain his character, but there's also later stuff. So maybe that'll turn you around to him, and maybe it won't. Because, again, like, if you just disagree with him, that's fine. Because, again, he's being rewarded for not being politically correct. So, yeah. He respects women too hard.
I'm really not sure how I would rank Robin, Nami, and Usopp. It's a toss-up, so forget it. I tried.
You made an attempt. Well, for the last episode, we'll definitely do our arc rankings and probably Straw Hat rankings and maybe top 5 non-Straw Hat characters because, like, how do you not, like, who... I can't think of any, like, there are some other good characters, but it's hard to think of one who'd be, like maybe a couple who'd be in the lower Straw Hat rankings, like, but none who'd be with the top 5. It's like, because they're all so good, and there's so much of the series is spent on them that they get the most. Oh, the Straw Hats are so fucking good. So anyway, back to the actual story. The Tower of Law gets blown up, and Usopp dies, except he actually, like, I love how he, like, falls, like, off the Tower of Law, and he just has, like, a bump on his head and a bloody nose, and he's just, so, thought that was funny for some reason.
Also, before all that happens, Usopp hears something, but that doesn't matter.
Oh wait, where was that? Fuck, I did miss that.
Yeah, right before the Tower of Law gets blown up.
Oh.
He's standing up top, and there's like a little ...
Oh, see, okay. I assumed he was hearing like the Oh, I see the text bubble. Yeah, with the starbursts around it, just like from later. Oh my god. Oh my god, the foreshadowing! I never noticed. I don't think I've noticed that before. That's good. Did you only just notice that now?
Usopp is just. I do like how Usopp is okay at first, like when he falls off the tower, but then later he's like, my ribs are broken, all 6.
You have more than that, 10. Fucking Usopp. So anyway, I have something to say about Luffy versus Lucci now because Lucci noticed that Luffy's gear 2 is it's putting in a lot of strain on his body and basically like chipping away at his life, like he's so. And that's what Gear 2 is, and why it's kind of like noteworthy is because it's a desperation move, like because the more Luffy uses it, the more he puts his life at risk. But that's what he's sacrificing himself to save his crew. Like that's what he says afterwards. It's better than doing nothing while my friends are taken away. And then even earlier with Blueno, he said like like Blueno was saying like what'll do if you like Luffy was basically saying that he'd die before his friends would get taken away. Like Luffy's putting all of his life into protecting his crew, and that's definitely something to note for later because it's an important beat on his character arc. But so I'll bring up. I just wanted to make that observation now while Lucci's talking about it. But I'll bring it up again later this podcast and later in the story. But Lucci even tries to. Well, because, like, Lucci, like, floods the underwater tunnel as Buster Call starts, and you get all these fucking Vice Admirals. Like, their designs are so stand out. Like, he just introduces these new characters out of nowhere. Not that they have names yet. I know all their names, I think. But I think he named them in, like, an SBS or something, or other side material. But yeah, it's like, because Luffy, he's, like, putting his life into protecting his crew, but then, and, like, there's, that's necessary to the degree here, because, obviously he needs to beat Lucci, because no one else can, but at the same time, like, the crew's able to get out of, well, with help, but they're able to get out of the underwater tunnel. Like, he even says, like, I know they'll survive, so it's like, he needs to be tactful in where he offers his life, but at the same time, there's more to that, so. Did you have any thoughts on Luffy versus Lucci in general up to this point? Up to, like, Gear 3rd and such?
I guess not a whole. I guess I don't have a whole lot to say on it, although I question it at this point how much longevity like Gear 2 and Gear 3 will actually be able to get in, like, because it doesn't seem like a very versatile thing.
Well, because, like, Gear 2 is basically Luffy's normal stuff, but faster and stronger, whereas Gear 3rd is, like, as we see, like, it's even, like, it's not even that, like, useful, like, after the first hit, because Lucci it's just too slow. Like, I had a note on that, actually, hold on. Yeah, well, because, I mean, I guess it kind of factors into the power thing, because, like, it gives Luffy more strength, but that strength isn't, like, just strength alone doesn't matter. Like, he doesn't have the technique to use Gear 3rd well enough, basically, because and then it has the detriment afterwards, because it's just this big clumsy thing that he hits Lucci once with it, even though he's fighting with it for like a minute. Like, he keeps trying to attack Lucci, but he never hits him after the first time. Like, he attacks, like, I'm counting 3, like, maybe, yeah, 3. It looks like he attacks like 3 maybe attacks with it before, and only one of them connected. So, like, it's just not efficient.
I mean, I do like it as, in a similar way as, like, the Rumble Ball, the effects it had on Chopper when he uses it multiple times, how it kind of, like, it hinders him. So, like, that's what I like about stories like Hunter x Hunter, where, like, the mechanics of the fight, it's more about, like, what the characters have at their disposal rather than can they channel, like, a hidden power.
Right,
and,
it's not just, like,
channel a new form or whatever.
It's not just about how it gets them stronger, it's about what weaknesses are there too, like, what's holding them back as well. And, like, Hunter x Hunter is neat about it because the characters choose their own weaknesses, which I think is interesting, but, like, with Luffy's, it's, still, like, yeah, it's about managing the drawbacks as well.
So, yeah, I do like Gear 2 and Gear 3. The side, like, obviously Gear 3 has the interesting side effects, that it slows him down. But as far as, like, it also doesn't cripple him, which I think is interesting, because, like,
because, like, yeah, Gear 2 saps away his lifespan, and Gear 3 makes him smaller for a brief time period. Go on.
Well, yeah, because, like, the side effect of Gear 3, like, he becomes mini Luffy, that's not really, that's not, like, I feel like, I mean, maybe it's, I don't know if Gear 2 and Gear 3, like, he has to do Gear 2 to do Gear 3, but, like, it doesn't seem like a major drawback. Like, yes, he kind of loses his power for a bit, but he is able to kind of get it back.
Like, I'll be honest, this is, like, the only time it actually matters when Lucci is fighting small Luffy. Like, pretty much every time after this, he goes small, and it's not an issue. Like, he just gets big again by the time he's actually doing more fighting. So, but, so yeah, it's, like, doesn't... I guess what I also like... No, he does not have to go Gear 2 to go to Gear 3. That's what I like about them, because it's like you hear Gear 2 and 3, and you think, like, oh, Gear 3 is an upgrade of Gear 2. But no, they're just two completely different techniques, like... And they each have their own strengths and disadvantages, too. Like, Gear 2 is a desperation move that makes him faster and stronger, but, and Gear 3 is just completely changes how he fights. So it's like... it's fine. I don't mind him getting both. So that's why when I say Luffy gets a power up this arc, I just put it as the gears, because, like, I don't know. It's just, maybe it's Dragon Ball poisoning my brain. But when I hear, like, Gear 2 and Gear 3, it's understandable. Your first thought is like, oh, they're just advancements of the same thing, but they're not really. They're just two different things. So I like how they're pretty distinct, and they have their own advantages and disadvantages. So it's cool.
I mean, like, they are good techniques. Like, the side effects of him sort of losing his powers for a bit. It's not like a Naruto uses the Rasen Shuriken and, like, destroys his arm or something. So, like, he, like, can't fight after that. So, like, I don't know. like I could see, like, obviously I know that hockey will be a thing later. I have no idea what that entails. But like I'm just thinking, like, as far as like when it comes to making like creative fights and also like staying innovative and trying to like just change up mechanics, I don't see a whole lot of longevity in the gears, but I mean we'll see where it goes.
Yep.
I mean, of course, other people who have already caught up on the series, they know where it goes.
They're laughing at you behind your back, Mathwiz. No, it's fine.
I don't know. Some people want me to like talk a little bit more about like my like what I expect to see going forward, like as the person who is not familiar with this stuff. So I guess I'll chime in things like these here and there.
That's fine.
I really like the panel where like small Luffy gets like crushed against the wall, and Lucci's talking to him, and Luffy just like bops him on the chin and it does nothing, and he just slams him into the wall.
Like Luffy refuses to give up even when he's tiny and useless. Like the determination on that little fucker, even when he's the littlest fucker. Luffy's great. I also like the moment while they're fighting when the Vice Admiral with the helmet, he attacks the warship. Like his name is Vice Admiral Onigumo, by the way. And his like this is definitely like absolute justice right here. This is like he's very close to This is what Akainu would do, pretty much. So that's like how I saw this moment, and because he's going above out of like well, and I also like how the different like I only just realized this, but like because earlier there's the one with all the scars on his face who gives Lucci's backstory. Like he's saying that they won't interfere because the side from Whole 9 is strong enough. Like they can handle this and their strength is respected. But like Onigumo, he's like, no, we're gonna interfere, and even if we kill 1,000 soldiers, and they don't even accomplish anything. So he's just like, so yeah, maybe they're right to not to interfere. Like Luffy just calls him stupid for attacking their own ship. So yeah, I thought that was because like so yeah, it's just like it goes back to what I was saying earlier about how different sides of the government have different ideals on justice. So and here's the moment where Franky smashes Spandam with Fukuro, or smashes Spandam with Funkfried. I got my names mixed up. Oh yeah, and so you brought up Kokoro earlier. What do you think about the reveal of her form, her true race? Because she saves the Straw Hats from the underwater tunnel because she is a mermaid.
I think that's fine, and I actually think it's kind of cool because like we have been getting like again there's another one of these like passing references to Fishman Island, which we got. I think we got something like that in Arlong Park because I think that's where some of the characters came from.
Yes,
so like it's another little thing that they're saying like it's this island paradise. So like I almost expected to just be like a little gag island or something. It's just a little levity stop in between, but like it's getting like indirect buildup like over the course of like several different arcs. So yeah,
like I think mermaids were first mentioned in Baradier, then it's the place because it's the place where fishmen and mermaids come from, and they're two different races, by the way. Mermaids are like they're like Kokoro. They have their bottom half is fish and their upper half is person generally. Though as she mentions, females their tails split, and fishmen are just fish people basically. So and we'll see more fishmen eventually because they're going to Fishman Island. So yeah, but yeah, and it makes sense. Like I think Oda even said in the SBS that Tom and Kokoro came here from came to Water 7 from Fishman Island because they're both. He's a fishman and she's a mermaid, so that was their home. Though also, I guess I want to point out something because there was a couple lines earlier that during the Tom stuff, like it was like when Spandam, he was saying he was referring to traitorous fishmen to piss off Franky, and then earlier that when Tom was rampaging, like there is like racism in the setting against fishmen, though we haven't really quite seen that yet. But yeah, it's like there's definitely a lot of been build up to Fishmen and Fishman Island, so yeah. I
also like how they found Robin and Chopper immediately is like, Robin, and then Chopper's like, wait, I can't move. So like even like the side effects of his power wore off. Like I don't know, he was just so happy to see Robin that like the side effects of his power didn't kick in right away, and then he's like, oh wait, no, now I can't move.
Yeah, and that kind of that happens again later because he's able to steer the ship. So he's able to will himself to move, but it's like it's probably rough. So for the poor thing, poor Chopper.
Yeah, like there's just another part later. I forget where it is. We'll find it eventually. But there's like everyone is like screaming or like fighting and something, and Chopper's just like, I can't move, and he's just crying, and it's
It's sad.
it's funny but sad.
Yep. So anyway, all the Straw Hats are mostly reunited. You know, they're with Robin. Everyone's happy. Kokoro's there, and they're about ready to escape. But they need Luffy, of course. Oh, and the Carpenters and the Giants get blasted by Buster Call and are believed to be dead.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like the Buster Call destroyed everything, and you know, Cypher Pole 9, they were there. Oh, you weren't talking about Cypher Pole. You were talking about other characters. But yeah. I'm thinking like the Cypher Pole characters were in the wreckage, but did they die? Because Oda doesn't.
Well, that's a question that may be answered later.
But yes, the island is attacked, and the Galila people and the Franky family, they're there, and they get blown up by the island.
Well, you get a reaction from Franky, and there's a part that's because they flash back to there's like a quote from an old lion, and because they're like mourning over the supposed dead, and I guess someone said, we won't save anyone if we don't move forward, and like. Well, so they bring a point, like Robin brings up the whole like Buster Call point, like people can't be seen on a map, but at the same time, like we see them later, and they didn't stop moving forward, like they were hanging on by a few threads, so to speak. So it makes sense that they didn't give up basically. So it's not. It doesn't bother me.
No, yeah, I didn't think for a second that they were dead.
It's Oda. Yeah. Well, because like Eni 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. I might have mentioned this before, but he talked about this. We had a conversation about Pell a while back. And one point because he pointed out how weird Pell's death was, or rather not death was, compared to the Skypiea and Water 7 stuff with Paglia and the civilians who fell to the lower sea, and here with the shipwrights. And one thing he pointed out to me was the idea of the absolute victory, where basically like because the deaths are on the flashbacks, but in the present no one dies because at the end, like when they have a party, everyone's there basically, and so. Like, you get that with Skypiea, with Paglia and all the everyone. You get that in Water 7 with the Galila shipwrights and the Giants. Like, because they had a complete victory, everyone's there. But that's not really true of Alabasta, because, like, even though Pell is alive, he wasn't there at the complete victory party. And so it's, like, it's weirdly dissonant, because it's, like, they had a complete victory, but not everyone's there, even though everyone lived. Like, why else keep Pell alive? Like, it's just really weird. So, yeah, but it was an interesting thought. So anyway, I guess now the stage is set for the finale of Luffy versus Lucci. Though I guess before I mentioned that, because I thought it was interesting, way back when rather, because I think this is the first time in the series where we have Devil Fruit users showing up that their fruits are not named on screen. Like, because they're closer to the grand, they're further down the Grand Line. And now, like, Devil Fruit users are becoming like more commonplace. Like, they're fighting the elite Buster Call soldiers, and they're like, watch out, they got fruit powers. Like, Zoro loses his sword, the one he got for free from the swords guy, and there's the guy who turns into spheres. Like, I don't know, I've always thought that was interesting, because it's like now fruits are just like commonplace, like that Oda can just introduce a guy with a power and not stop to explain it. So like, yeah, this guy obviously has a rest power. He turns into balls, like, whatever. Did you have any thoughts on that specifically, or just this fighting and what the Straw Hats were doing in general?
No, like, I did note later that, like, when you do get the little flash to, the guy, basically, like, the fact that Zoro got that sword back in Log Town, so, like, this sword is, like, hundreds of chapters old, and now it's been destroyed, and now, like, he has to get a new one, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just like fighting happening. They're waiting for Luffy, and I don't know. It's all cool, and in the moment, it's really intense and stuff, and I like it.
Okay.
I just don't have a lot to say about it.
No, I only had one little thought anyway. So now I guess we could finish Luffy versus Lucci. So because Luffy fights, he falls. Because like he said earlier, with Blue, he's ready to die for his comrades. But as Usopp points out, he takes off his mask. And, Luffy's not dead. He's not in the afterlife. He just tells Luffy to keep fighting. And so, I don't know, what did you think about the rest of the finale of Luffy versus Lucci?
I mean, I feel like this would be. I don't know. I think it. I think it all comes down to framing, because like I feel like depending on the narrative, this would be a moment where like, oh, the character just power of wills through the rest of the fight. But I don't know, like it works here, and I don't know if I'm just being biased because I really like One Piece at this point. But something about this moment, like there isn't like a dissonance that I sometimes get with other fights where this thing.
That's what I think is funny, because a lot of people really like this fight, but like it's a friendship power up. That's what it's like. I give shit about Fairy Tail for that, because Fairy Tail doesn't really earn it, I don't think. But with this, it works because like the crew is split up basically, and as I talked about back in Davy Back fight, you know, an outside force can't split up the crew. Only the crew can split up the crew. But here, you have the Straw Hats, like, Usopp takes off his mask, and for the first time since the beginning of the arc, the Straw Hats are really together. Robin left the crew, but now she's there. Usopp left the crew, and he's showed himself. He stopped being a coward. And now and he's, like, ready to fight Lucci just because Luffy can't. But he's, like, to prove the point, like, yeah, like, Usopp's done what he can. Luffy needs to do what he can. And so, basically for the first time, the crew is unified. And that unity is what like, again, unity is this power of the Straw Hats, where it's lacking in Cypherpole 9. So he's able to defeat Lucci, who doesn't respect his leader, who only does orders because he's personally interested in him, rather than, you know, because he's invested in the ideas and ideology of the government. Like, he doesn't care. So... And Luffy surpasses that because he gets up, and because of his willpower, he surpasses a character who is stronger than him. Like Lucci, like the fucking moment Lucci does another Six King pistol, and Luffy's just doesn't fall down. And he's like, and we get a bunch of flashes to like Aokiji's and Lucci's, a bunch of lines from all the characters, and Luffy finishes off Lucci, and it's fucking awesome. But like, that's kind of how I see it, is that, well, there's two things to it. Like, one is that like Lucci, basically because the Straw Hats were united again, Lucci kind of became like Foxy. Like, where he's just an outside force trying to split him apart. He's no longer this agent who's helping Robin, keep away, because she wanted to sacrifice herself for the crew, but now he's no better than Foxy. And the other thing is that, like, Luffy, like, he's putting all this desperation in to save his crew, but at the same time, he needs his crew. Like, he wasn't able to do this without Usopp. Like, Usopp saved the fucking day. Like, Usopp's relevance in this arc was very similar to Nami's in Skypiea, where it's like, though I'd say it explores Usopp's character more than Nami got in Skypiea. Not that it was, but it's just by it's a longer arc. So yeah, and Usopp saves the day, and Luffy's able to beat Lucci, and it's fucking awesome. So I don't know. I think it's earned because it like, in part because of the crew being split up. I think like because it really challenged the crew, but they had to pull it back together, and it was satisfying and great. And what the other reward for that unity was after the fighting, Luffy says, "Let's go back, Robin," and I fucking tear up because Usopp said, "There's one more shipmate." Like fucking. Oh
yeah, that's right. I had to think for a second.
Oh my god! And he's like crying, and he's telling everyone to jump in the ocean, because the crew is unified, and that becomes at its most true when Mary shows up. The ship that was supposed to be dead, that fallen off into Aqua fucking Laguna, like, completely surpasses all expectations. Oh man, I think I skipped over some stuff, but it's like, it's just so good. I definitely cried when Mary showed up, and Usopp's line about how there's one more shipmate left, that really got me. Man. And you also have Sanji being the smart boy again, because he goes off and he closes the gates, which causes the whirlpools again, which keep the battleships off their ass, basically. Because if there was less ships, there wouldn't have been, or if there were, like, the battleships were only a problem because of the Buster Call, and then Sanji gets rid of the problem by closing the doors. And so, again, I don't know, Mary still could have helped them escape, but there would have been less going on, and I don't know, maybe they could have been, if there was no bus call, it would have been different, but, yeah. Oh, there are a couple other good moments I don't want, because, like, Robin, or, Luffy can't move, obviously, and Robin saves him with her powers, but, and I do like the moment where Robin says, thank you, Luffy's like, like Luffy's trying to tell Ramen thank you, but she's like, no, she has value in her life now because of them. So like, she of course she's the one who needs to thank him. So it's good.
There was this one panel I see where like it's like the turn of the chapter, and you see someone's like head popping out of the ocean, and I'm like, is that Sanji? I don't know what that is.
What chapter?
I don't know if. Yeah, it's the very first page, chapter 429, where like you see the Mary, but then like there's just this person whose head's popping out of the water, and like I don't know if Sanji just climbs on the ship. If that is Sanji, I don't know what that is.
That's Sanji. His hair is covering his eyes, and he's got his because he throws chimney at, like if you see in the first panel of the next page, he's throwing chimney and Gonbi up before going up himself.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I was like, I don't know if that was significant.
That's because
it kind of happens.
I know it. It's because they all jumped into the sea, and they have to, or because Kokoro in the panel after that, Kokoro's throwing the devil fruit. Oh, interesting. Okay, I thought it never happened, but like because Robin like has never fallen to the ocean, but I think this is they all jumped in the water, and everyone's getting onto the Mary. So like Kokoro's throwing the devil fruit users on because she's the mermaid, and it looks like Sanji had Chimney and Ganbei earlier, so he throws them up. So yeah, it's just
that's what happened. I thought they just like jumped and landed on the ship.
I always assumed that too. I never noticed this. How did I just like skim over like fucking? It's like one big panel, or it's like some details in one big panel, and then just two whole panels of them getting onto the ship proper. How did I never fucking catch on to that? And like if you see in the panel with Sanji surfacing, if you look on the left side of the ship, I think that's Zoro falling in the water.
Yeah,
that's definitely Zoro falling
Zoro.
head first into the water because you can see the swords. And Zoro always just lands head first into shit, like with the fucking chimney earlier. Fucking dumbass. Oh man. But yeah, Spandam orders the ship to be destroyed. But they escape anyway because they are the smartest crew. And again, they're united. And I love the bit where like Zoro and Sanji use Luffy as a slingshot to block some of the cannonballs.
Yes, that was great because like Zoro and Sanji hate each other, but they're working together, and Luffy can't do anything, so Luffy's just the.
Well, the best part is afterwards, because their expressions on they're doing the V for victory sign, and if you look in the background, Luffy is also doing the V for victory sign, even though he's dead.
Yes.
He's just fucking dead back there, and he's just like, no, I won.
Yeah, that's such a good panel. I love it.
But yeah, and then Spandam's barking orders. Robin fucks him up one last time, and he's just like baffled, like, how can the world government, the Buster Call, the full Cypherville 9, the full military might of Enies Lobby, not be able to take a woman from one crew? And then she's just like, shut the fuck up, like, as he has no power against friendship. Friendship is the strongest power. I'm ruining it. No, it's fine. It's great. Oh man. And yeah, the Mary just fucking escapes. Like the shipwrights escape on the sea train, and Aokiji's just like, yeah, this incident was a complete and utter defeat. And while the Straw Hats won, and fucking victory over Enies Lobby, good shit.
And
then we get to get punched in the feels. You already tweeted about this.
I cry.
So yeah, Iceberg shows up and explains his side of the story because he helped repair Mary and sent her out, and because she wanted to sail, she wanted to keep sailing with the Straw Hats. She wanted to carry them just a little bit further.
I'm really curious about how this scene would have like played out in the anime, because like, I mean, you have the little dialogue bubbles here, so like obviously Mary would have a voice.
Yes, Mary does have a voice in the anime.
And also just like with the music and everything, I'd probably cry more.
So is this the first time you've cried at One Piece? Or
no, I did cry, or at least got like really teary-eyed when the Alabasta thing happened.
Yes. So, but was this like outright crying or just teary-eyed? Because I definitely cried.
No. This was more than teary-eyed. I cried a little bit.
Nice. Okay. Because like for me, the hardest cry is still the "I want to live" moment. Like easily, it's like the 1-2 punch. Like you get the flashback. I'm already crying from that, and then then it gets even harder with the moment after that, and I just like can't fucking take it. I definitely cried here, but not as hard. And there was actually a moment from later that got me teary-eyed that I didn't expect. This isn't even the last sadness I get from this stretch of chapters. So
yeah, I had wondered if there was gonna be more. This was the only moment that it happened for me, but I was like thinking maybe there'd be more.
Yeah, the moment that happened surprised me because I don't even think I got teary-eyed at it last time. But anyway, so yeah, it's a good moment because again, well, the crew is unified, but like Mary just can't stay with them. Like, so Mary becomes like I guess she's the one a part of that's not in their absolute victory because Mary just starts talking and they all it's so good. But yeah. The crew's united, but Mary can't stay with them. But at the same time,
I think it's the part where Mary's like, "I wanted to carry you even farther," and I'm just like, "No."
You can't. Oh man. And this is where, because like I remember when you first started reading One Piece, and you're like, "Wow, he made a dog a compelling character," and I'm like, "Wait until you get to the boat," and like you think like that's such a silly conversation, but at the same time, in One Piece, it just makes perfect sense because like everyone reads One Piece, everyone understands like it's not shameful to cry about a fucking boat. Because it's just so fucking well done. Like it's like the serious humor thing. It's like you step back and you realize like I'm crying over a boat, but it fucking works. It's just so good. And oh my god. Even Franky's crying and he doesn't even know the boat. Franky just really emotionally connects easily with the other characters. It's great. Like he was crying about fucking Robin and shit and he didn't even know her. It was so good. Well, he talked to her for a bit for like One Piece is so fucking good. Oh my god. This is turning out to be a shorter discussion, but that's fine. That's why we divided it into this many episodes, because otherwise it's just like going to be the arc for the whole thing is like 7 to 8 hours. Like I don't want to do 2 4-hour discussions. I'd rather do 2, like a 3-hour discussion and 2 2-hour ones. Much rather do that.
Now what I really like about this next volume is that like it's basically a volume dedicated like almost exclusively to falling action, which I really like.
Yeah, and
because this has been a massive like saga, I even would make the argument that it's just one big arc. Like
even from Davy Backfight, like there are ideas set up there that don't get paid off. Like Davy Backfight introduces the camaraderie, the unity of the crew thing. Aokiji power, that gets followed up in Water 7, where Usopp's lack of power, the splitting of the crew. Then it sets up the weapon thing, and then the people as well, responsibility, and then everything. It's basically one arc, pretty much all the way through. So yeah, it's like you can't I mean, I can understand why people separate Davy Backfight. I personally don't want to, because I want to see people look at my top arc list and see Davy Backfight at the top with Water 7 and Enies Lobby, sure. But yeah, because I'll talk about why I'll talk about something else later. But it's a really good volume still too, because I came back home from work last night and I saw you message me in Discord and you're like, this was set up hundreds of chapters ago. Stop with the reveals, Oda. And I'm like, because I even said I wonder what you're gonna think about this stretch of chapters, and this volume was part of what I was thinking of, because it's just there's so much this might be there's one other, because I talked about the in-between arc world building stuff, and we get a bunch of that here. But this specific post-arc stuff might be my favorite. There's one other in-between arc world building stuff from later that's might be close, if not better. But this is probably my favorite of all the in-between arc world building.
So much of it. Yes. There's so you get the flashes to the characters who you flash it back to the people Nami's family.
We see Kaya and Nojiko and
group, and you see everybody, basically everybody who has shown up to this point. Yeah, at least in those Straw Hat character related arcs.
Yeah, all their old families basically, and reacting to the news, and then there's a bunch of other stuff we'll get to. Because there's some big players we get to see, and there's some big reveals and name drops, and then we're not done with the arc yet. Because we also have 2 Straw Hats to join. So, But yeah, anyway, back to the cooldown. I'm getting heated up talking about the cooldown. What do you know? Galileo is repairing the city after Aqua Laguna. Even the Giants are helping because they're gonna go back to Elbaf. Usopp's, even though he was there fighting with him, he's still afraid to go back to the crew. And yeah, Iceberg's trying to surpass Aqua Laguna. And
gonna
everyone's
make
like
the island float.
Yes,
he's gonna make the island float.
Well, because Tom has 2 achievements. He built Roger's ship and the sea train, and so like Iceberg being responsible, like he's going to follow up Tom's achievement with an even greater one with the sea train. While Franky is, he's going to follow up Tom's achievement with an even greater one by building the next boat that will cross the world and then cross the world with it. And so, yeah, they're both trying to surpass Tom in their own ways. Like, Franky and Iceberg are cool. So yeah, Luffy has learned to sleep eat because he needs to recover from all that fighting he did. And yeah, Franky explains the Jewel Tree Atom and why he needed all that money. So it's like the money they stole is coming back to them in a way. But with as we find out, the Thousand Sunny.
Yeah, so they basically did end up using their money to pay for a new ship, just in a very roundabout way.
Exactly.
Also, I like where Zoro's like, this is bad. I have to go tell them, and he's like, huh? Where am I? I'm just like Zoro.
He has such a bad sense of direction. It's great. Well, and also, this I don't know if this has been mentioned in the SBS yet, but like later we see that he got directions, and he's being followed by 2 guys with lumps on their head because he beat the shit out of them. You can see on their shirt.
Michael and Michael.
Yes, they're the 2 guys that Lulu and Tilestone thought were assassins. And you look at them, and there's just these 2 oafs, and you're just like, okay, yeah, those 2 are stupid because they thought that these guys were fucking government assassins who tried to kill Iceberg.
Also, I want to say a thing here because like these 2 characters show up and like their faces are hidden, and then there's also the guy with like the dog thing, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if these 2 characters were Kobe and Helmeppo? And then they turned out to be Kobe and Helmeppo. I'm like, what the fuck, Oda?
You did the Blackbeard thing again. Where you're like, hey, it would be funny if they were, yeah.
Because they look totally different, and I was like,
but
wow,
not just that,
like,
but we also find out that Garp, Vice Admiral Garp, who took them in, he has a surname too. It's Monkey. Monkey D. Monkey D. Garp, Luffy's grandfather. So yeah, because because Aokiji mentioned that the whole family is a handful, and Garp's this marine that's kind of wild. Like he just busts through the door, and he's like, "Why did you do that?" Or no, his crew
because it's a cooler entrance.
It looks cool. Like yeah, that's fucking great. Garp's funny. I love Garp. He's such a shit.
No, and I fuck. Because now I'm remembering the chapter cover arc that he was in. And, like, there's the part where, like, what was it? Fucking Morgan, like, he gets away because he was asleep or whatever. And, like, that's a thing that Ace did. Yeah. Like, Ace falls asleep, and he falls asleep in this conversation. And, like, it was set up in the cover arc hundreds of chapters ago.
See, now we're getting at the point where it's like the long-term payoffs are actually, like, really long-term because we're so far in the story. Like, we end this at 441 chapters, so, and I guess, to repeatedly compare it again, Hunter x Hunter hasn't even hit 400 chapters yet, so, we're already, like, way longer than Hunter x Hunter is, so,
Yeah, and what I really liked about this, too, was, this would be around the time where, like, a little before the 5 Kage Summit, so, like, this would be around the same time where Naruto did the callback with,
the Carpenters, yeah.
Yeah,
the Wave Country, right?
Yeah, I forget the kid's name. But
I also did.
Yeah, Inari, that's right.
Yes.
They do the callback with him where he shows up, but like they had a time skip before that, so like
yes,
he looks big and different. But like, it's so good, and I don't know. I don't remember Bleach having a moment like that where like a really minor character disappears and then comes back again. But this is that Shounen shit, and it's the good like where the character actually impacts the character and changes them, and then they come back way later and they're a changed person because of the character, and it's good.
Bleach did have a character return, but their appearance didn't change. Don Kanoji showed up in when Aizen came to Karakura Town. Remember?
Oh yeah, I guess that would be pretty similar.
So at least he doesn't change like appearance though, like Inari and Kobe and Helmova did. But he does come back. So, but it's even then it doesn't. It's like he's just a minor dude, so it doesn't really have that weight, I think. But And I don't know, it's like, and yeah, I think the change is cool, like especially in this one because like they're strong. Like Kobe uses shave or the move fast technique that the Cyberpole guys were using, and Luffy recognizes it before stopping him. And so it's like they're not just like coming back, but they're also bigger and stronger. Even though like they're still nothing to Luffy and Zoro, but like. They're big boy Marines, and like, have you seen this design of Kobe's?
No,
he looks
I
so
hadn't.
different.
That's why, like, I didn't recognize him at first. Like, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if it was Kobe, and then it was Kobe.
And I also love how Zoro and Luffy barely even recognize Helmabo. Like, there's a whole page of Helmabo trying to get them to remember him. Because they're just like, I almost had you executed, and they're just like tilting their heads, and they're just like, who are you? It's just fucking good. Like, they're so stupid.
This really made me wonder, though, like, because we had, like, there hasn't been a time skip or anything. It's just been the story progressing up to this point. And so I'm like, how much time has passed in this story?
Yeah, like, well, because, like, I mean, mostly, like, I don't think, like Helmabo doesn't really look, like, I mean, Oda's art has changed, but I think, like, Kobe's gotten a little taller. Actually, I don't even know if that's true, because, like, if you look back, like, Kobe just had a big head. Like, his proportions have changed, even though, like, if you actually, like, compare him to Luffy, like, compare their two heights here and their two heights before, I don't think there's that big a difference, but, like, it's just that Kobe's proportions have changed because his head got smaller because he lost all his fat, basically, so he looks really different. Whereas Helmabo, he mostly changed his hair and clothes, and that's why he looks different, you know? Like, his face hasn't really changed. Like, maybe his chin has gotten a little less, but that's also could be, like, he's got muscle now. He's actually, like, they're strong boys, because Garp was training them at this, so, yeah. But, we also get a little bit more information. Garp explains, or he mentions, Shanks, who is, we knew Shanks was a great pirate, but now we're being name-dropped with the 4 emperors, who are the strongest pirates. And Shanks is, like, on the tier of Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. And then there's 2 other ones there who have not been named by this point in the story.
I see another one which I think I might recognize, but I'm not entirely sure. Because, like, it's a thing I have a very tiny spoiler. Like, I know a character exists, and that is basically it. And I'm like, is that the character? But I don't know anything more than that.
See, because I obviously know who these other 2 characters are, and their designs are different. Like, they do not, like, especially the bottom one. Like, I don't know if you're looking at the page, but the bottom one with the bandana and the nose.
Yeah.
That character looks very different when he actually shows up. So, the other one on top, not as much, but still pretty different. But yeah, it's just, well, because it's like, it's just that Shounen thing. We got the 7 warlords, we got the 4 emperors. And, well, those are the 3 powers, by the way. Like, the 4 emperors aren't aligned, but they're still considered one of the 3 powers that Yosaku mentioned way back when. So you got the world government, / the Marines, the 7 warlords at sea, who are government aligned, and then the 4 emperors. So those are your 3 powers. So it took us that long to fucking get all of it figured out. And then we get another reveal that I don't think you knew about, because you... I don't know what.
Yeah. So we find out a bit about Dragon, Monkey D. Dragon, Luffy's father. What?
And everyone like freaks out, like the Marines, the building, the Straw Hats, like. Even Robin's like sweating as she's like explaining it because she's like, yeah, Dragon's he's the leader of the revolutionaries who are directly challenging the world government, and Garp's like, oops. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But, well, what's also interesting is that, like, Garp is in contact with Dragon. Like, he said he saw you at Logtown. So it's like, this Marine hero, Garp, Vice Admiral Garp, is, like, he's still in contact with the worst criminal in the world, like... Basically, like, yeah, Dragon's if that's why I think bounties are interesting, because it's like, Dragon would reasonably have the highest bounty because he's the biggest threat to the world government, because he's actually actively trying to bring them down, but, like, Whitebeard's the strongest man in the world, so it's like, so he'd have a high bounty too, just because he's strong. But like Dragon is actively dangerous, so it's like there's a distinction basically. So it goes back to the bounties not being power thing, which I always liked about bounties. But yeah, man, this chapter was fucking nuts back when it dropped. I remember because it's just like it dropped so many different like fucking Shanks is a big pirate, Dragon is Luffy's father, and a revolutionary. Because I think I even mentioned no, have we found out about the revolutionaries yet? I feel like they've been mentioned because I've mentioned them, but like because no, there was the because way back in Logtown, the arc with the newspaper, Nami mentioned how there was another kingdom that fell to a coup, and that same arc introduced Dragon, the revolutionary. So I might have mentioned that before, but yeah, now we know a little bit more about the revolutionaries. So yeah, fun reveals. So like so much in between arc stuff, world building and stuff. It's all cool. But yeah, did you have any thoughts on anything else from that, like the conversation with Luffy and Kobe, or because we get a few like name drops and information, like and the party.
I like how I like how this is all sort of like interwoven. Like you get this really cool reunion of like Kobe and Luffy, which is like they split like 400 chapters ago.
Yeah.
But like, you have that happening, but at the same time, we're still dishing out information about the world, and like you've got Nami listening in on it and taking note of certain things.
Yes, there's the scientist Vegapunk who is made some major developments, including the devil fruits, or the objects eating devil fruits like Funkfried. Then there's
and I'm sure that Dr. Vegapunk will never be relevant again. Never's going to show up.
See, I want to bring up something. So yeah, I've read up to chapter 921. Vegapunk still hasn't shown up. We do not know what he looks like. Like, it's been fucking like a decade since this chapter came out, and we still don't know what he fucking looks like. So I'm sure he's gonna be relevant again, but I'm just saying, like, yeah. And also we find out the name of the second half of the Grand Line, the New World. So, yep, just more. And, yeah, Kobe's, like, they're both following their paths and dreams. Like, Kobe's even, like, he wants to become an admiral now. Like, he doesn't just want to be a Marine. He wants to be a top Marine. And Luffy's like, yeah, we're gonna, they might have to fight, but they're both gonna follow their ambitions. So, and then they have a big old celebration party for their victory. And it's just satisfying. Did you have anything else to say on that, or shall we go to the Aokiji bit? Because he's there too.
Yep, Aokiji meets up with Robin.
Yeah, and he's sort of like, he thought Saul was a friend, and, he decided that, he would, like, whether he'll, like, kill Robin or not, but, yeah, he tells her to live out her life to, preserve Ohara. And, like, so, because he thought she would be, evil, but, or what was it? What did he say? Oh, no, he didn't want her to waste her life, and yeah, she was just kind of, like, existing, but now she finally has comrades, so he's not going to capture her there either, so. But yeah, he's basically respecting Saul's will to let Robin live, so, because they're comrades, so. Because Aokiji is, like, he's very moral, he's not he's not into either absolute justice or dark justice, so that's all we see of Aokiji for now, so yeah. And then, we get to see the elders, get some news as, red-haired Shanks has made contact with Whitebeard.
Yeah, it's like if you thought that the last chapter was crazy, like, we're not done yet.
Yeah, so it's like, well, and we just found out, like, how big a shot Shanks is, and then we, like, immediately get a follow-up to that as, like, two emperors are fucking just gonna have a nice little chat. Like,
and
Shanks
also,
walks
I like
on
how
the
this was set up, like, wasn't this set up, like, before they went to Skypiea, like, during all the Jaya stuff?
Yeah, with
like,
Rockstar.
That this was going to happen, like,
yes,
these two were trying to...
Because, well, Rockstar gave Shanks the message, he was on Whitebeard's ship. Like, Shanks was like, that's not nosed, or Whitebeard's like, that's not nosed Kit, has some nerve telling me what to do. So, and he's like, he ripped up the letter, he didn't even read it. So Shanks had to come talk to him personally. So yeah, it was set up quite a while ago. Like, damn, it's Shanks, the guy from chapter 1, and fucking Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, and they're just gonna drink. Oh, and I like how, like, well, Shanks not only just, like, knocks out, like, a bunch of Whitebeard's crew members with just his, like, fucking will, well, as they say, his hockey. Like, I mentioned that before, because Blackbeard mentions hockey only in the colored translation. And probably the anime too. Like, if I heard it, I could probably pick out the word. But and here's the second mention of it as Shanks is knocking out all these dudes. So it's still a mysterious ability, but it's still getting built up. So, did you have any thoughts about any of this scene in general? Because we also get a couple other reveals. But go on.
I mean, other than it being just like really, really, like what I really like about this chapter is that, like, I can't think of many stories where, like, we cut away not just from, like, the main character, because that happens a lot, but, like, we cut away from, like, the entire main cast to focus on some other conflicts within the world. Like, the thing about, like, how Naruto was able to function was, like, it had basically two protagonists. You had Naruto and Sasuke, so if you'd cut away from one, you'd get the other. Like, maybe, I guess the closest thing we got in something like Naruto was, like, Jiraiya versus Pain. But even then, Jiraiya was a pretty prominent character.
Right, and that had almost immediate, like, that was the result of, actions from other characters, because he only moved after Pain because of Orochimaru, because Sasuke killed Orochimaru, so quote unquote killed Orochimaru, and then that had follow up with Naruto. Whereas this is, like, at the moment pretty completely disconnected from Luffy. Like, the closest link is Ace, and even then it's like a few steps removed, and, Shanks is obviously, like, Luffy's, Shanks and Ace are involved, and they're connected to Luffy, so it's a couple steps removed from Luffy himself, though, and anything he's doing, pretty much. Like, this isn't even the result of, like, his attack of Enies Lobby. This has just been happening in the background since Drum Island, because, like, that's the thing, is, like, Drum Island, like, mentioned the world government. It mentioned Ace and Blackbeard. It didn't mention Ace, but he showed up at the end in a flashback, and then Blackbeard, of course. And then this arc, kind of like the world government is like a giant deal, and we finally learn more about them. And then we at the end we see Ace and Blackbeard meet. So, and then this is also part of that. So, oh yeah, and we find out that remember that buggy flashback where Shanks and him were crewmates on the Pirate King's crew.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a thing. So no wonder when he after Logtown he was like, oh yeah, the Grand Line, how nostalgic. I've been there with the Pirate King. So yeah, we know. But yeah, and also Shanks got his scars from Blackbeard. Like, fucking, I'm just, okay, it's like, you know what, it's, if you don't think Blackbeard is gonna be the final boss, fine, but it's like, Shanks was introduced with those scars that he got from Blackbeard. Like, what part about that does it, like, he has relevance in chapter 1 before we even knew about the Marines and the government. Like, well, no, we had the bounties, so that's not entirely true. But it's like, god damn. That goes back far. Not that there was, like, any hint that the scars were from Blackbeard, but, like, did Oda have that planned, I wonder? I'm actually curious now. If anyone's asked that, if he knew that when Shanks was designed that Blackbeard caused those scars. So, but yeah, anyway, Shanks wants Whitebeard. I also think
it's sort of interesting the way that, like, when Whitebeard asks him, like, how did you everyone was so surprised when you came back from the East Blue missing an arm, and how Shanks is all, I gave it up for the sake of the new era. Like, that was
yes.
I don't know, that's just really interesting.
Yeah, because it's, I don't know, I'm really interested to see where Shanks' character goes. Well, because, like, and here he's trying to stop the conflict between Ace and the Blackbeard, because, like, he even says, like, Ace is strong, but, he's, don't go after Blackbeard, like, but Whitebeard doesn't mind because, because Whitebeard, as he says, Teach, can't live in this world without a code of conduct. Like, Teach broke the one commandment of a ship, don't kill your crewmates. So Whitebeard has his values, and so they start arguing, and because Shanks says something. He says, like, no one will be able to stop this new era from spiraling into chaos. And at the end of the fight, there's like a text bubble that says, this was this event would later be identified as the trigger for the major events that were to follow. So Shanks is basically right, but Whitebeard's a stubborn old fart, and they fucking fight, and the heavens split, and it looks really, it's just like, just from these guys fighting, like, goddamn. Like, these are the two strongest characters in the entire setting, so it's just cool sense of scale. So did you have anything else to say on this chapter?
No, because then Ace shows up and he's got his new back tattoo.
It was always like that. Also, if you look at the panel with the big split, you can see Rockstar like next to, in between Usopp and Lucky Roo. I only noticed him this time, I think. So he's still there. Rockstar is still there. I'm paying attention. I'm watching you, Rockstar. I will never forget you. I don't know why. We see Blackbeard. They're going after. They know where Luffy is now, roughly. Water 7, probably. Because they know about the sea train, so they're like, hey, we'll go find Luffy. But then Ace finally finds a Blackbeard, and then we never see Ace and Blackbeard again. It just cuts away. We'll talk about that later, though. The newspaper arrives, and everyone's got a new bounty. And remember how last time you were saying? Oh no, I skipped ahead a bit. I'll talk about it anyway. You know, last time you were saying about how the Straw Hats, if they get bounties, they'll be recognized, and Sanji won't be able to do his thing where he goes unrecognized.
I love the part where, like, they see that, and Sanji's just like, who is this?
So yeah, it looks like the gag is gonna keep going a while longer, because they don't know what. Well, because like it cuts to the marine base later. And it's like, did you forget to take off the lens cap? And it's like, it's just so silly. Oh, man. Did you have any other thoughts on the bounties?
Poor Chopper, just 50 berries.
Yeah, they don't recognize him as a threat. He's just this animal. Like, they probably saw him just, like, being a cute little cotton candy lover. Because like, they were clearly... See, I like how they were clearly investigating the Straw Hats afterwards. Like, they got the picture of Nami. So, like, at the party, actually, if you look in the background, you see the, like, dudes holding shish kebab, so that was at the party, and then, like, wait, did I mention this last time? Okay, if you look at Zoro's wanted poster, if you see, maybe it was mentioned in the SBS, but if you look at the bottom left corner, you can see Usopp in it. Like, you can see his long nose and his claw finger as he's trying to pretend to be Crocodile. I know I've heard that, I knew that, but I forget if I mentioned that to you, or point it out. It's on a crease, yeah, I can see it on mine, but it's like you have to look on the other page.
Okay, I kind of see it.
Yeah, there's his nose and his hook. Yeah, I knew about it, but I forgot if I mentioned it before. And then, yeah, Robin's got an updated picture. She's no longer a child. And, of course, Sniper King got a bounty because he's still hiding behind that mask.
Shout out to my neighbors for playing some really loud music, and I know the mic is going to pick it up.
So, anyway, Usopp is... I skipped ahead to the bounties, so Usopp's, he's rehearsing for when he tries to rejoin the crew, and coming up to, with, Waste, like, he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I'll act like nothing happened, and, yeah, we'll talk about that, and Kokoro explains, about the, Fishman Island, and also the Florian Triangle.
This is a Skelly boy, I get to meet a living skeleton, that's not foreshadowing.
No, it's not, what are you talking about, Mathwiz? You don't, shush! But yeah, right after that, we'll go to the Fishman Island right away. Don't look at the Nen Show listing. Don't look for Fishman Island. But yeah, so everyone gets bounties. Franky's got a bounty, and Zombie. He basically says that he wants the Straw Hats to take Franky, but Franky doesn't want to join. Or he doesn't. It's not that he doesn't want to join. It's that he's avoiding them because, like, they go to see the ship, and Iceberg has to show them motherfucking Thousand Sunny, a ship with a lawn. Like, this Sunny is so fucking cool. Like, it's just got everything. Like, it's got a fucking lawn, a garden for flowers and tangerines, and then it's got like an aquarium. Like, it's just it's neat. It's just so, like, yeah, but So anyway, they ask Franky to join the Straw Hats, but he doesn't want to join. He's like, I need you to stay with my stupid family, because you guys can't do anything right. But they're forcing him to go anyway. Do you have any thoughts on this goofy sequence, or should we get to Franky joining proper?
Yeah, because I guess I don't know. It's kind of funny that like they're running around the town, and then like they're still having like Frankie's like, "Give me back my trunks," but then he's also like, "Hey, so how's the ship? Do you like the ship?" So like they're kind of like having a casual conversation while also like
He's a streaker, so yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and did you have any thoughts on the ship itself? I kind of glossed over it.
I don't know. It looks cool. Yeah. There are my thoughts on the ship.
So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Franky is rejecting them because he wants, but and then Robin decides to help.
I do kind of like the little thing here where like there's this big goofy thing going on, and Luffy's just like, I was being naive. His will is too strong.
He's a man among men, and he's just a pervert. Yeah, like I said, Robin is just too cruel. She's like goddamn. But yeah, anyway, we find out more about Franky's dream. Like, he doesn't just want to build the best ship that can traverse the world, but he also wants to sail on it. And the part that got me teary-eyed was like right after that, because like Iceberg's talking about how much Franky has been doing sort of in the background to help the city. You know, he's he cleaned up the streets. He's a bounty hunter, so he's going after people to trouble guys who might be trouble for the city. But I love the line where he's like, even if Tom forgave you, even if I forgive you, it won't change anything. Because you have to forgive yourself, Franky, and that's when it got me teary-eyed, and which is what I didn't expect, because like the thing with Franky is like it's all about the responsibility. He's taking responsibility for Tom's death, even though he didn't do anything wrong. Like, he didn't use the ships. He built the ships, and that's what he's blaming himself for. But like, he didn't use the ships. Like, so it's like. But it's like, you know, he's like, and so now he's got his he's trying to make up for Tom's death. He's got his Franky family to take care of, but now he's got his new ship, the Thousand Sunny, that he also needs to take care of. And so like the thing he wants to do the most is take care of the Sunny, but he's just too like held back by, you know, the guilt over Tom and his responsibility for the crew, but like, or not the crew, the Franky family, but like they're, you know, he helped them enough, like they can, you know, fend. I mean, maybe they can't fend for themselves, but they do get taken in by Iceberg right after that. So it's like, you know, he's got to move on. He's got to go live, and, you know, he's still got, like, compare this to, like, Zeph. Like, Zeph wanted to see the all blue, but he'd already tried that and given up, and now he was satisfied with doing his restaurant. But Franky, even though he is older than the other Straw Hats, he still has his own ambition. Like, he's still got things to do, basically. So it's like, it's not right of him to stay with his back and held back by with his family just because, you know, for their sakes. Like, he's got his own stuff to do and to live for, basically. So, I don't know, it got me emotionally unexpectedly. So, did you have any thoughts on it, or?
I mean, no, yeah, it is a powerful moment. Didn't get me teary-eyed, but
that's fair. I would expect. I didn't do that for me. Like back when I reread the series, so that one caught me off guard. Oh yeah. Also, I was reading this part about how like Iceberg was in the. You know, he was helping the city from the light, and Franky was helping the city from the darkness, and I realized that it's Sasuke and Naruto.
Yes!
So Franky is Sasuke. Good to know. Wait, no, something's wrong. Also, I like how, like, Franky's crying, and he's, like, pretending that Robin's still hurting him, but that's not what's happening, so that was fun. But, and also, like, seeing the flashbacks of him cleaning up everything, and you sort of see him. Franky's good.
I will say what did catch me off guard, didn't get me emotional, but Franky joining the crew, that caught me off guard.
Shut up, Math. No, it's fine. Yeah, but I'm sure some people at the time were like, no, I don't want Franky to join. But come on, like, once you hit the flashback in the warehouse, it's like, if you don't think Franky's going to join after that, then, like, you're not paying attention. So, because I know some people were rooting for Polly, but, like, let's put it this way. Polly was in one panel of Franky's flashback. One of these characters is obviously more important than the others.
Well, I mean, I'm not even joking. Like, I didn't realize Franky joined the crew.
Okay.
So, like, I thought I knew all the Straw Hats, but, like, here's one who joins, and I'm like, I didn't know that.
Okay, so you knew about someone who may or may not come in later, but you didn't know about okay, that's interesting. I think I know why, because I was with the Anime Expo, and there were like cutouts of all the Straw Hats at that point, like well into the story, and there's a reason you wouldn't recognize Franky. Even though now you probably would, but yeah, but we'll talk about that later. So anyway, moving on, we get a flashback to everyone talking about Usopp and how they're gonna handle him, because Zoro's being a wise boy, and he's Usopp left the ship, and if Luffy lets him on without letting him apologize, despite contradicting the captain, then Zoro's gonna be the one to leave next, and it's like. It's harsh, but like you said, we're not playing pretend. It's just like, so it's sort of setting up for Usopp's moment, as Garp comes in to arrest him, and fucking Garp.
Yeah, I like how Kobe is like, Vice Admiral, sir, we just parted with Luffy with a very nice goodbye. It would feel very awkward to attack him.
And Garp's just like, nope, bring out the cannonballs. And he just fucking starts chucking him like they're baseballs. And he's just like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, well, because, like, the thing with Garp is that, and what I think, because he's the most, like, here, let's put it this way. Because you might have noticed that like up to this point in the story, like none of the Straw Hats have had like a really strong blood relation. Like Nami and Zoro have no known families. Sanji has no known family. Usopp's mother is dead. His father is gone. Chopper's family kicked them out. Franky's family kicked them out. Robin's family, everyone Robin ever knew was dead. Her aunt, her mother. Luffy and Ace is like one, and then Garp is Like Garp is also, like, he's up there too, and it's like, but like, at the same time, even though he is, like, quote-unquote Luffy's family, like, Luffy went against the government to save Robin, whereas, like, Garp is, like, going along with their orders to capture Luffy, even if, like, the way I see it is him doing the meteor thing instead of, like, going into the fighting with himself. This is him putting on his kitty gloves. Like, he's kind of, like, letting Luffy escape to a degree, like, because he obviously doesn't want to really capture Luffy. At the same time, he's still trying, like, he's still putting him under pressure, so it's like, he's, it's like, so, Luffy is still his family, but, like, the government comes first, is the thing with Garp, so, and, which is, again, whereas with Luffy, his family comes first, so, yeah, I want to make that observation, now, so, but anyway, Usopp sees the fighting going on, and he drops down, and he's like, yeah, it's me, I'm come back. Aren't you guys happy? I'll be the first mate.
Yeah, I like how Usopp had, like, he had planned it all out in his head for, like, days in advance. He's like, oh yeah, they're gonna be so happy that I came back, and they're gonna beg for me, and then, like, they're already leaving when he gets there, and he's like, oh, wait, what are you doing? He's like, I prepared all these scenarios in my head, I'll be able to respond to anything, and then he gets there, and the ship's already leaving, and he's like, oh, shit. And then he apologizes, and it's sad, but it's good. It's a good moment.
Yeah. Well, because, like, he's like, he left the crew, but he helped them anyway. So he's like, he's acting like he's owed something. Like, oh, make me the first mate. I deserve it, don't I? But like, when it's all his fault that he left the crew, and it's not until he like finally mans up, and like instead of trying, he's like him. All his other dialogue is him trying to run away from the shit he caused, but when he finally stops being a coward, it's so good. He's just, and he's like, he just apologizes, and it fucking works. And like, that's all he needed to do, is just man up to his mistakes. And like, I guess it kind of goes back to the responsibility thing. He needs to be responsible for what he's done, and when he finally apologizes, Luffy forgives him, and they grab him, they go off, and they blast off with their shit. Well, because like they did it while escaping Enies Lobby too. Like Franky did it like a makeshift one with the Mary, and he's like, you know what? If Mary can take it, Sunny can too. And so they blast off, and the crew is complete. It's all unified for sure, and they have one last toast before they go. It's good. Did you have any more moments from the Straw Hats on Water 7, or anything else to say? Did you say no and Discord cut out?
No, I'm looking through, but I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Ooh, okay, but we're not quite done with the arc yet, because we get Iceberg takes in the Franky family. Water 7 goes back to normal.
Smoker! My boy Smoker! He comes back!
Smoker's he's ready to go after the Straw Hats. He's just doing random shit, taking out other pirates.
This is what like completes the whole falling action picture. Is that like we already had all the setting up the stuff for the future, but then we get like Smoker and Tashigi show up, and then we cut away to Alabasta, and then we see everybody, and it's so good.
Well, it's like, this is what's great about long stories, because it's just like, it's that guy, it's that guy, like, just the intertextuality just makes it so, like, all these characters, like, as a single chapter, it doesn't work, because it's like, who are these people, but it's obviously not, it's a single chapter to a whole story, so it's good. It's
also,
good.
It looks like Smoker
reacting.
and Tashigi got promotions, because now Smoker's a Commodore.
Yes, because for capturing Crocodile, right.
That's right, yes. I forgot about that. So maybe that had been said before, and I'm only just now realizing it because they said.
Well, now he's being introduced as Commodore, so this is our first time seeing them since Alabasta. So it's actually been quite a while now that I think about it. Because back when we were doing Alabasta, I was like, man, Smoker sure has shown up a lot lately, because he was there after Logtown, and then it's Smoker's back already, because Little Garden and Drum were relatively short. But now, like, it's also been 2 arcs since we last saw Smoker. But those 2 arcs were really fucking... Skypiea and Water 7 were really fucking long. So it's been like a couple hundred chapters now. So yeah, it's just great seeing everyone. Also, I want to mention this real quick because there's another name drop. The mayor of Luffy's hometown mentions Dodon. Like, because see, I really remember this little stuff because, like, I was reading it weekly, so I remember seeing people discuss it and speculate on it. Like, people notice, like, a lot of little details. And stuff, so I remember a lot of discussion from around this period, because I was on the Arlong Park forums, which I think they're still being used. I think Oro Jackson is more, like, popular and known now, but Arlong Park was where, that's where the One Piece discussion was happening back in the day, and so I just remember people, like, focusing on all the little bits, and I remember the old translations, and this was when I was getting really into One Piece, so, yeah. But yeah, we see everyone, we see Kureha, we see Nojiko, and then we cut to a mysterious island on the Grand Line called Baltigo, where we see Dragon, Monkey D. Dragon. He's just like, because he says an interesting line about how, like, I think this is what you were mentioning earlier, where he's like talking about how, like, you know, when it takes a will such as yours together with chance and coincidence, and Luffy's will pushed him through Enies Lobby, but alongside all the chance and coincidence, but then, you know, that's in service of making people question the world, and I think that's very... Dragon keeps saying the shit that's just really core to the series, I'm noticing, so...
And I like how this sort of philosophy that One Piece presents, because it kind of avoids the tricky trap that something like Naruto fell into, where it's like, it kind of embraces both, like, the personal, what's the word? Like, personal... the personal, like... autonomy one has on autonomy,
their own fate
that's
versus,
exactly it.
Like, yes, and so, the gears of fate itself. Like, yeah, it's kind of a bit of both, like the will and the coincidence. So, because that's both. Like, Luffy wouldn't have been able to beat Lucci if he didn't try his, work the hardest. But at the same time, the only reason he got to that position was because of a number of coincidences that helped him get into Enies Lobby. Like the chances and like the Carpenters and Franky family wanting to help. So it's like, and the guards being Oimo and Kashi, who happened to know about Dory and Brogy, were being tricked, and Usopp happened to know about them because they met. The chances of that are fucking insane, but it happens naturally, and it's storytelling. All stories are like that. So yeah, it's good. Did you have anything else to say on that, or shall we get to the last point of discussion?
Ace is back too, and we're getting to see Ace versus Blackbeard.
Yes, because Ace has been chasing him, and because Blackbeard even says like, "Hey, I'm gonna take over the world and become Pirate King. Join me, and we're gonna take down Luffy. It's gonna be great." And Ace is like, "Oh, hold the fuck up," and so that doesn't work out. But Blackbeard's crew attacks him because they are completely helpless against his Logia powers. And one thing I love about Blackbeard is, like, you think, like, oh yeah, he might be the final boss, so he's gonna be strong, right? But he's just like when Ace attacking, like, Blackbeard's trying to warn his crew not to fight Ace, and Blackbeard attacks, and he's just like lying on the back, like, ow, that hurts, and he's just like lying on his back like a dead fish. It's just like, like Oda lets no one be, like, completely serious. Like, even here, the Blackbeard's being a goofball. Because, like, every time Blackbeard gets hurt, he's like, ow, that fucking hurt. Like, he's not presented as, like, being, like, resilient. Well, but that's the thing, is, like, you get to the end of the Ace fight, and Blackbeard's still standing, and Ace is the one on his knees. So it's like, even though he's, like, he falls and very clearly gets hurt, he's still got a lot of endurance. So I think that's interesting. And of course, we find out he was only on Whitebeard's crew in the first place because he wanted a certain devil fruit. The dark fruit. So, and he gets a fucking 2-page spread, like two pages to show off his power. Like this is important for whatever reason. Even if we don't, like, well, there's the big one, obviously. I don't know, what did you think about the fight in general?
Well, yeah, like the I'm made of darkness, that's really interesting. I have no idea what that entails. We see a little bit of it. Like, he can just create, like, a black hole and just suck things in and destroy them. Well,
I love how he just, like, he sucks up the whole town. He, like, destroys this whole city, and then Ace is just like, whatever, and then he just hits him. Like, Blackbeard's like, oh, don't you see how cool my power is? And Ace just attacks him like it's nothing. Like, whatever. Ace is not into that shit. But then we found out the other interesting thing about his powers is that he can negate a fruit's abilities and just punch Ace like he's a normal person. And Ace can't use his powers while he's grabbed either. But yeah, he says that this is the strongest devil fruit, and that's a potential reason as to why, you know, that, and like, I don't know, it's like, is that going to be all his abilities? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's definitely like that's a pretty big point in his favor that like he can just negate devil fruit powers at least so long as he's touching the person.
Right. It's a really strong limitation because, like, you know, Ace even like
but then again, like, he can also suck people towards him, like pull them over. So like he has an easy way to like grab these people, but still it's a limitation nonetheless.
But at the same, like, but then, you know, it's still a limit. Yeah, it's neat. But yeah, like, we don't see, like, mostly we see their abilities, and like Ace is like, I kind of like how his attacks like look different, but at the same time they're just kind of throwing fire. So it's like, and he's got weird names to them. So it's like there's like he's got like crosses and saints. Like, he's got a weird like Christian thing going on. Japan does that.
I just really like the name Crossfire, like it, because it's like a play on words, but it's also like cool sounding.
Yeah, it does sound cool.
Like, it's a play on words in multiple ways, because like it's a word, but it's also like fire, but it's also like he's making a cross. There's layers to this.
But yeah, well, I like how towards the end of the fight, like, there's the bit I was talking about, like, because I was mentioning how, like, Blackbeard, like, he takes his hits and he's like whining about it, but then at the same time, like, there's this page, there he is standing, and Ace is on his knees, like, he's tough. And well, because like Ace, and then they do their final clash, and like the way I see it is like this fight is kind of about their ambitions. Like, Blackbeard wants to be the Pirate King himself, but Ace's ambition is lesser. He wants to make Whitebeard the Pirate King. His ambition is for someone else. So of course he fails. Like, he's not, you know. So yeah, because I mean, it's not outright shown that he's defeated, but like, come on, he's the one bleeding from the face on that last page. His hat, look at his hat. It's on the ground. Like, tell me that's not symbolic of something. So, come on, like, it's pretty obvious what happened here. So,
although I really like the final sort of like clash where like he just creates like a miniature sun, and that still looks really. It was a really cool like way to end things off, because you don't know, like, it seems pretty evident that Ace was defeated here, but like, is he still alive? Mm-hmm. Like, what happened? You don't really know, because it's this big explosion thing, and it's
the exact details aren't explored, but this is the trigger for a major event to come. So at some point in the series, we'll learn more about this, I'm sure.
It's a very good cliffhanger, and I'm ready for the next arc.
Yep, now you're like in. You're like, oh, One Piece, yeah, give it to me, pour it on my face.
I think I'm at the point where like I can call One Piece. I'm gonna give it the tentative 10 out of 10 score, and it has 500 chapters plus to like mess that up. But at this point, I have no reason to believe it will.
I think 10 out of 10 is a fair score to give One Piece. Well, it's like because it's not consistent. Like because I mentioned Hunter x Hunter's length. Like I would say Hunter x Hunter is more consistent for its length, but at the same time, like I think Sasuke Shoto fan put it this way earlier, but it's like Hunter x Hunter has quality, One Piece has quality and quantity. So it's like because it's like twice as long as Hunter x Hunter and about as good. In my opinion, like, I mean, I personally prefer it. Like, whether you think it's quote unquote better, that's, up to you. And again, Hunter x Hunter is more consistent, but it's like, I think about One Piece more, okay? But yeah, like, so final thoughts on Water 7, the saga as a whole, and this stretch of chapters in general. Like, aside from 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. That's a good way to end off.
Yeah, Water 7 is, I like it more than Baroque Works.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because it's like they're both sagas, but this one is way more thematic. Like again, you can't really separate. It's hard to even separate Davy Backfight out because of how much important stuff it sets up, like ideas wise and event wise. Like even if it is mostly a bunch of goofy comedy, but like whereas like Little Garden and Drum Island, like they're their own arcs that happen to be involved with Baroque Works more or less. Like it's Drum especially being more disconnected, but so. Yeah, it's like as a saga, it's just much more cohesive, I think, and it's a nice big stretch of chapters. But I think what I want to say on this stretch of chapters, like why I think it might still be my favorite arc, even though there's been other great arcs after this. Like, so if you think this is 10 out of 10, like One Piece might be your first 11 out of 10. No, it's fine. No, but it's like what I think is great about this whole saga is that like not only does it not only does it do its own thing, where it has its own ideas on power and, weapons and, the camaraderie of the crew that gets split apart. So does its own, like, unique stuff thematically, and it's way more thematically dense than I remember, honestly. Like, holy shit, there's a lot here. But, like, it also, like, if you took everything that, like, makes One Piece, like, special, it's represented in this arc. Like, even if it's not necessarily the best at it, like, it's got the spirit of adventure. Like, with Water 7, it's this cool place. Like, sure, it's not as adventurous as Skypiea, but it's still there. It's got tragic flashbacks. You got 2 of them. It's got the comedy with Davy Backfight. It's got, the fights, the character interactions, the gags, the seriousness. It's got the conspiracy, which in my opinion is, like, the most imperious thing, like, the whole government conspiracy in the Void Century. Like, that's kind of one of the most intriguing aspects of the setting and the mystery. It's got crewmate joining hype with Franky, and it's just, like, everything that makes One Piece good is, like, here. And it's got the in-between, like, the world building with Whitebeard and Shanks and Blackbeard and Ace. And, like, it's just all here. And so I think, like, even if individual aspects aren't the best, like, it does have slower points. Like, I can understand people not caring for Davy Backfight. The train stuff was weaker. And, but it's like, it's all here. And it's all great. And it's got some really good payoffs. It's got my favorite moment of all fiction. Like, I really hope One Piece has an arc that surpasses it. But, like, it's going to be tough because especially, and I think there's also bias because this was the arc that was new and recent when I was getting into One Piece. Because I was watching it, like, the first episode I saw were in this arc. And I think, No, that's not true. Maybe subtitled. They would, but or maybe did I start from the beginning? I don't remember. But the first chapters I read, like new, were definitely from this arc. I talked about them. I was reading weekly at this time, so it's it's both personal to me, and I just think it does everything that One Piece does like really well. Like, and so it's super good. I love this arc. Oh man. Oh, what are we reading next time? So yeah, next time we are reading chapters 442 to 489, and if in case you are reading along for the first time, then yes, this will take place in the Florian Triangle, though that's not what the arc is called, and you'll see it next time, and we will see you next time. Back to normal schedule by force, because I have a scheduling thing that's going to take up every Wednesday morning, so if we do another chapter, like change schedules again, we won't be recording on a normal day, so it'll be harder to actually schedule that, so yeah, expect normal, like, every other week from this point onward. So yeah, thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Yeah!